You are live.
Are we live?
We're just waiting to see once 18th Street Lounge stops.
Oh yeah, I'm watching the.
You're watching a record spin or 45.
45.
Sorry, it's double A.
45 alive. Okay, I have commercial right now, so.
You're saying Post Malone?
No, not. I'm not getting that Post Malone.
Yeah, I'm getting the Post Malone.
I'm getting this Old Spice commercial.
I don't get commercials at all any longer. I don't know if it's like a partner thing, but I don't. I don't. Shut it. No, I want to know. I want to know. I don't.
Humble brag. That was a little.
No, I want to know. I don't see any. Not a one. People I don't sub to. It's crazy. I don't. It's. There's no rhyme or reason.
That might be why.
That might be.
It could be. Yeah.
I see commercials and I'm a partner.
Humble. Oh, exactly. I don't see them at all. I know. I don't see them.
He doesn't watch anyone. That's why.
I was on your channel for 17 minutes today.
I love.
And I gave you bits.
I asked questions about music in front of Selecta. It's amazing.
Some bits.
Encyclopedia, man.
What's
Not
up,
like
chat?
in the
What's up,
kitchen.
world? What's up? What's up? We're live. We're live right now. We're just waiting for everybody to come in right now. We are back with the 9 at 9 show tonight. So come on in, sit back, relax, grab a drink, and we're gonna talk to these guys on the screen right now.
Talking
a little bit later.
Talking about PDX, the one and only.
We should have all brought Iron Cities to drink.
No, we shouldn't have.
Holy Water Bonics. Shout out to DJ Steve Spin. Follow DJ Red.
How do I host
PITTSBURGH. Yeah, if you guys want to host it, if everybody in the chat, if you want to host the stream, everybody on the screen, if you want to host the stream, that would be well appreciated. Who else is following us? Roger RP Leadership. Thank you for the follow.
Yes, sir. Eric G, what's good, my G? Dub D in the house. What's up,
seeing you, bro?
Good to see you. Dad, he's a new DJ dad. So yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yep. Shouts to
congrats.
Shouts to Eric G, DJ Daddy in the building.
Big moves.
Hit up all the other DJ dads for those tips. Don't hit me up, because I don't know. Oh.
Let's see here. So yeah, once again, we're just getting started here. Just waiting for everybody to pop on in before we start the show. Again, this is we're doing the 9 at 9 DJ podcast show. We're doing a live recording of it tonight for the podcast. So once again, this is season number 3, episode 27.
Wow.
27 episodes so far.
This far. That's crazy.
Hey, I think Doc might have done something.
What'd he do?
What do you do now?
What'd you do, Doc?
Oh, man.
By the way, if you guys didn't know, Doc Bluss is our behind-the-scenes associate producer, and he's already messing things up.
Wait, I don't know that for sure. Don't say sorry if you didn't.
No, he did.
Yeah, so he's
he just got a raid.
He did some. Hey,
Jack Records. Thank you for the raid.
Oh, appreciate that.
All right, we're getting this party started real well. Lexi.
Nice.
Let's see what's good.
Up?
Roger.
Lexi, what up?
Johnny Cap, thank you for the follow. Roger PTR.
Roger PTR is actually my mod, so.
Nice.
Big shout out to the mods.
DJ Good. Thanks for the follow.
Shout out to all the mods out there. We love you guys. Appreciate what you do.
Shout outs to all the mod squads.
Mod squad.
Mods make the Twitch world go round, don't they?
Cybernet Samurai. Thanks for the follow. Jack Dat Records. Thanks for the rave. Thanks for the follow.
DJ Good.
Once again, if you're just tuning in right now, welcome to the Beat Refinery Twitch channel. We are a DJ school for
what up, Red?
Rock Mixing School. We have locations nationwide. This is the 9 at 9 DJ podcast. We're just waiting for everybody to come on in. So sit back, relax, grab a drink. We're almost at that point where we're going to officially start the show. We're doing a live recording of the podcast tonight. So we do this once a month.
once a month.
DJ Nas Live.
This is
I don't think they know officially.
What's up, Brian?
The official new schedule. Once a month, we'll be doing the podcast full on recording.
We used to do it every week. No, every other
a lot
week.
of work.
It was like every week,
and then it was every other week, and then now it was like once a month.
Yeah, but we have other more interesting
not that we're lazy.
content.
Yeah. We got more content.
And we got
everybody's been enjoying our music playlist shows. So
yeah, we do some playlist shows. We got to have some of these guys.
Star?
We got to have the Selecta and Strobe, especially I really want to dive deep with Strobe on some dance music stuff, because that's certainly, I think, part of the when I asked Dave, I was like, Dave, you can please ask Strobe if he could be on the show. We really want to have some of this dance music history of Pittsburgh. I think it's not known as much, as especially over the last decade or so with the explosion of Pittsburgh hip hop and the DJs. But really good knowledge on this show tonight. We got some great guests.
Definitely some great guests.
And we can definitely get into some of that history.
We're stoked to have you. That's for sure.
Oh, Jamal B, what up?
Jamal B, DJ Steve.
What up, Jamal?
DJ,
SOB
what's
fam.
DJ, what's good? This is one of my mods, actually. EJ, what's good, brother?
DJ EJ, what's up, sir?
We got some of our regulars here today. Age of Aquarius, what up?
DJ
Scar, what up?
Yes.
With the gold mark T.
I see Strobe's rocking the gold mark.
I thought all of us would be wearing 412. At least you got the hat.
I got a hat and I got my Commonwealth Press tee here.
Oh, that's fire.
Nice.
I brought my Mac Miller cereal. How about that?
Oh,
that's dope.
This is served. That's fire.
Got like a CD.
Time for show and tell. Let's do it.
A bowl, a plastic spoon.
See all those black and yellow.
Rest in peace.
Oh yeah, Dave came to win. Look at this.
Wow.
Got my Steelers game ball here from against Houston Texans.
When was that?
This season.
This season, really? Wow.
27-20. So
Nice.
My question is, how many game balls have you got in your collection?
that was actually my first. So okay. I'm at one. I'm starting at one, but hopefully I'll add to that.
All right.
Who's rocking the
TJ,
bongos?
thank you for following us.
Yeah, I wonder where that is.
Has
one over there.
He's busy.
Don't mind him. He's just making tracks.
Needs more cowbell, man.
it's more cowbell. I'm just, hitting the buttons. You guys made me the button guy, so I'm the button guy.
Are we good, Chris? I think we have enough people here to start the show, man. We got
absolutely.
a good amount of people here.
They're pretty quick. No,
Nice.
Raiders.
I'm having a bit of issues with my camera, but we can just go ahead and run it down.
Yeah, let's go ahead. All right. Let's see here.
Camera issues for Chris, guys.
Yeah, get this. All right, so we got enough people here. Again, everybody in the chat, welcome to the Beat Refinery Twitch channel. This is the 9 at 9 DJ podcast. We're doing a live recording, live taping for the podcast, which will be uploaded on Thursday on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere else. So we always do this. Now we do this once a month. So, let's go ahead and start the show. All right, so
started like this, son.
We'll do the official taping in 3, 2, 1.
It's an ill mind that's still time building refine. Still getting mine in the 9 at 9. Building refine, building refine. Building refine. Still getting mine in the 9 at 9. Building refine. Still getting mine. Geometrix 9 at 9. Stylus Chris. DJ as one. Don't touch the dial, you heard?
What's good? What's good, everybody? DJ Geometrix here, and we are back with a new episode of the 9 at 9 DJ podcast, the online show with 9 DJs on a roundtable panel discussing today's DJ topics. This show is brought to you by Beat Refinery DJ School at Bach to Rock. Learn how to mix, scratch, and make music by visiting beatrefinery.com. We have school locations nationwide. Tonight is episode number 27, and we are streaming live right now on Twitch. If you missed any of our previous episodes, you can watch our past shows on facebook.com/beatrefinery or youtube.com/beatrefinery. If you prefer to listen to the audio side of things, this episode will be uploaded this Thursday to Apple, Spotify, wherever you consume and listen to all things podcasts. So make sure to click like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, what was that?
Keep them good ads in there.
Everybody, for the people listening to this episode on the audio podcast, make sure to stop by Monday nights, 9 p.m. East Coast time, whenever we do our live music playlist shows and whenever we do our live tapings of the 9 at 9 show. So join us on Twitch, twitch.tv/BeatRefinery. We also do our weekly Twitch raid train called Hall Pass Fridays, every Friday afternoon, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. East Coast time. So on that note, we have a great lineup of DJs in the panel here tonight. Some have been here on the show before, and also we got a couple fresh new faces. We're doing our first ever all-city edition of the 9 at 9 DJ podcast, where we do a deep dive and learn all about a particular city's DJ scene. So tonight, we'll be talking about the Pittsburgh DJ scene, and we have a few of their influential DJs here tonight to talk about their city. As always, let me introduce the rest of my crew, my co-hosts. First up, we got DJ As One.
What's up, guys? Welcome back.
Did you fall asleep there?
What?
It's a little delayed there. I don't know. Anyways, next up, we have Sean J.
On time and ready. What's good? What's good?
Word. And finally, passing the mic off to Stylus Chris.
What's good, everybody? Thank you guys for joining us again. Another edition of the 9 at 9. Very excited to share a little bit of the history and legacy of one of my favorite cities to go hang out in, Pittsburgh. We have 5 incredible DJs. We're going to start them like we always do in alphabetical order. His first day DJ earned his stripes in Pittsburgh. He's been DJing now for over 20 years. Started from college radio at the University of Pittsburgh's WPTS. Wow. He climbed up the ladder from intern at the first ever urban radio station in the country, WAMO, to becoming the #1 night and afternoon radio host on 96.1 KISS. During that time, he was a staple in Pittsburgh nightlife and also partnered with the Steelers, Penguins, and Pitt University. He was a 2-time champion in Pittsburgh for the Red Bull 3 style and last 10 years spent touring with Pittsburgh rapper Wiz Khalifa. He can still be heard every night on KISS. Let's give it up for our man, DJ Bonics.
What? Welcome back, brother.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure seeing all your faces. And now my 412 buddies over here. I think we're all pretty handsome guys over here. I think. These Pittsburgh guys.
Far too kind.
Yeah.
The showering starts right out the gate, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. That's right. Happy to be here, y'all. This is going to be fun and just like hanging out like old times with these guys.
We're good at creating online reunion spaces. Have you guys noticed that? We're trying to do shows, but then it's like we get guests and it's like just like reunion shows for them. Oh, yeah.
Try to do, man.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, it's great.
Hey, Mom.
Our next DJ, born and raised in Pittsburgh, attended and graduated from Central Catholic High School and University of Pittsburgh. First major club gig was at Matrix, held over 30 club residencies in the city over the years, and managed Privilege and Zen. DJ for University of Pitt Panthers football and men's basketball, and is also the Pittsburgh Steelers official DJ. Let's give it up for our boy. He's been on the show a bunch of times and actually introduced me to most of these people on this show from Pittsburgh tonight in one way or another. Digital Dave.
Hey.
What up? What up?
Yo, Digital.
Welcome back, bro.
Good to have you back, my man.
Thank you, sir. It's good to be back, and you know, it's a cool show for me because I know like everyone very personally. You know, I mean, DC, like you said, Pittsburgh is one of your favorite cities to travel to. DC is one of my favorite cities to travel to, and I obviously know all you guys. And I mean, Strobe, Selecta, Bonics, and Nugget have just been, you know, good friends and inspirations for a long, long time. So I think it's going to be a fun show, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, we're really glad to have you here. Couldn't do this show without you. You've been such a ambassador for Pittsburgh and coming down to DC for a while now.
Like 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2010, 11. I was playing at like Shadow Room with Flips and playing at the park on 14th with Hostility.
Yeah, man.
Hostility, and
we were just
talking about him today.
I was just talking about Carlos earlier today, man.
Shout out to Hostility, brother.
Shout out to Hostility.
All right, our next DJ is he's definitely been on the scene for a while in Pittsburgh, and he's one of the most versatile DJs you're ever going to find. I've had the privilege of rocking with him a few times, more specifically at his own bar, one of the very rare instances where you get a DJ that actually is the owner. And it's one of the most fun places you can ever play, the Goldmark Bar in Pittsburgh. Big shout outs to the Goldmark. And it's a bar with a heavy focus on DJs. It's finally reopening on weekends starting February 12th after being closed for this full year for this pandemic. We're glad to have him. It's our boy, DJ Nugget.
Big moves, big moves.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Nugget.
Nugget is back.
Thanks, Chris. Hey, guys. Hey, it's an honor to be with my Pittsburgh brothers who I look up to all these guys. So I really appreciate you guys including me in this.
Definitely glad to have you, man. Appreciate you taking the time.
You're receiving a lot of love for that quarantine beard you got going on there. So if you're not watching the video version, you're not to catch the video for that.
Evil genius kitty.
It's the hat too. Definitely the hat.
Need that right there.
All right, our next DJ is a pioneer of the Pittsburgh DJ and hip hop scene since the late 1980s. This DJ started his career in 1988. Woo! At the ripe age of 15 as a frequent guest on the University of Pittsburgh's WPTS radio station. He then parlayed his radio experience into residencies at several Pittsburgh most celebrated venues over the years to follow. In 98, he was named Best Hip Hop Radio Personality in Pittsburgh News Weekly, and following year he opened Pittsburgh's first solely hip hop based retail music outlet, 720 Records. 720 would go to morph into a coffee shop, retail outlet, and performance space. He has also supported many international touring artists such as De La Soul, Farside, The Roots, Rakim, KRS, and countless other luminaries. Currently, he hosts a weekly funk and soul-based radio program called Grand Groove Radio on Pittsburgh's NPR affiliate WYEP every Friday from 6 to 8. He's one of the most knowledge DJs you're going to find around. I love his show on Twitch. He can give us that schedule a little bit. Let's give it up for Selecta.
Yeah.
God.
Rewind Selecta.
Yeah. Glad to be here with these amazing peers of mine. I played in DC twice. Once at Union Stage and once in a spot where you walk through a deli and you open up into a meat locker and it's a straight up club. It's called Capo.
Oh yeah. That's
super ill. It's a deli. It's a straight up deli. There's a meat locker and it's an extravagant, like lush club through the meat locker door.
That's a That's a secret spot too in DC. Not a lot of people know about that spot.
Yeah,
I didn't know about that until now.
Password
So
only.
you can get like bottle service and corned beef at the same joint.
It's not a kosher bar,
Ash. What's the password?
He said.
but yeah, it's an exclusive spot. I played an all 45 night there with this DC vinyl crew. They played at Marvin and a couple other spots. So
Shouts to DC Vinyl Heads. There we go.
yeah, DC vinyl heads, of course. Yeah, lots. Man, I can go on and on with Harvey Dent, my man.
Shout.
Oh yeah, yep. There's a lot of my man Leon. But yeah, that's my DC experience.
Wow.
That's what's up. Good. Thank you for being here with us, man. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
And our final guest that we need to introduce has been turning out chart-topping productions and remixes since the early 90s, starting with his first release, Euphoria, in 1991. He has a deep love for disco and house music, and his sound is typically a blend of the two, but he also is not afraid to venture into other genres if he feels pulled to that direction. His remixes have racked up over 30 Billboard #1 spots, as well as 2 gold records and support from DJs around the world, in addition to TV and movie soundtrack placement. He also makes production tools and loves mentoring people who are inspired to make music. You're in good company, sir. A DJ has since the mid-'80s in Pittsburgh, spinning at spots like Metropole, the Firehouse, and Static. He has been spinning across the United States and internationally, playing sets of classic upfront house, new disco, and indie dance. And he's holding down residencies and providing director support for headliners. Most recently, you can catch Strobe streaming live on Twitch, building a global community with his weekly house music shows. Originally from Pittsburgh and now living in Ontario, Canada. Let's give it up, DJ Strobe.
Yay.
Welcome.
Big ups.
They brought me out of the pasture. I got the beard.
Pulled you across the border.
Yes, I wish. In a couple weeks, I'll be there.
Well,
He wants to get across the border.
I do. I'm coming in a couple weeks.
Get some gaucho.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it's exciting to have all you guys here. We are certainly wanting to use this time to learn more about not only each of your individuals' stories in Pittsburgh, but also some of the culture, the rich culture that exists in Pittsburgh, in the community, in the history of it for our, not only for our students, but just people that love music, love understanding how it works in other places besides their own. So let's start it off real quick, because we got a lot of you guys, they're veterans. How many of you were still DJing or were DJing since at least 2000? I think that's probably all of you, right? We already heard Selecta 88. We're gonna have
88.
to, yeah, and that's gonna be hard to beat. But what about 95? Who? You were still Bonics? Were you not DJing yet in 95? What about you, Nugget?
No, I started in 96.
Oh, yeah.
What about you, Bonics?
98.
98.
Yes, miss.
All right. And then, so what about 93? Who was DJing? Dave, when did you start?
I started in 95, so
95. Now we have the battle of the bullies. So, Strobe, what year did you start?
86.
The bully.
Ooh, look at that.
Wow.
And I think, well, Selecta, did you start in 88? Was that your first?
Yeah.
I started in 88, but I started buying records in 86, if that counts.
That's kind of like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's.
I'll allow it.
I mean, you weren't doing gigs in 87, Strobe.
What?
You were doing gigs in 86?
86.
Where at?
City Limits.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ooh.
And Hills. Spinning new wave.
Under 21 spot.
Yep.
Okay. I
Oh,
got you.
wow.
Wow.
And what and so you just kind of led into it a little bit. So you said City Limits, New Wave was the music. What do you remember a song that was like the song of when you first started out?
Probably. See, here's the thing. Like at the same parallel in the mid 80s, when I was getting into new wave, I was also getting into house music, even though I didn't know necessarily what that was. But I was born in Chicago, and most of my family still lives in Chicago. So I would go to Chicago during the summer my parents would basically ship me off to Chicago, and I would go to these under 21 clubs like Medusa where they had DJs playing house music. And so you would hear like Depeche Mode and Frankie Knuckles. And I'm like, what is this stuff? And they'd be like, you need to go to Gramophone and ask for DJ Psycho Bitch. Seriously, great DJ in Chicago, DJ Psycho Bitch, and say you were at Medusa's last night and she will hook you up with all this stuff. And I would leave with a stack of records. But I had no idea. I didn't know what house music was in like 86, 87. I just like Little Louis French Kiss. I was like, this record slowed down and had moans on the dance floor. I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. So I was listening to that, and I was listening to Depeche Mode, and I was listening, Love Duran Duran and Nitzareb and all that stuff. So anything New Order, anything that kind of had that beat, because a lot of like New Order and the synth pop stuff sounded very similar to the house music that was being made then, because the technology was very similar. So I would say New Order, Blue Monday was probably
Oh,
a
yeah.
big record.
Wow.
Nice. There we go.
I know Gio likes that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he was just thinking. We are just like, oh, I
And,
love
and shouts to
I
Gramophone.
love new wave, man.
Yeah. I love
Gramophone is
Gramophone.
Gramophone is one of the classic, iconic DJ record stores.
Yep.
Big love to them. Strobe, so you were 88, right? And remind us the first club gig you had.
City Limits is under 21 spot in Penn Hills.
Wow. Amazing.
But I will say that even though I started DJing then, I did not really learn how to be a proper DJ until Mr. Chris Kersey got his hands on me, and several people in here, especially Dave, is House of Chris Kersey. Chris Kersey said, "Oh, you think you're a DJ? Do this, do that," and basically I learned that I was not a good DJ until I met him in '88, and that was when I got my first job at Metropole, and he basically blew open the whole world of DJing for me. He is my mentor and the reason that I'm a DJ still. So
was Chris Kersey like the guy that connected everybody in the city at that point in the late 80s?
Well, in the late 80s, there weren't a ton of DJs. There weren't a lot of spots. There was the Strip District had Metropole and the Boardwalk, and for a while it was just Metropole and Medusa and Rosebud. So when you had big DJs at big clubs, they were the people that they mentored you and you paid your dues with them. And, Digital Dave is another guy who Chris kind of helped along the way as well. He can tell you some Chris Kersey
Getting
stories.
those stripes, carrying the crates and all.
At that point, yes. I think when Dave met Chris, it was CDs. He was carrying his CD books.
What's the likelihood of Chris Kersey lurking in the chat right now? You think he's
Probably not. He's usually in my chat, but I don't think he's here right now. I should let him know.
Just let him
Yeah,
know.
one of us should text him.
Yeah, we're hoping that we get some of the Pittsburgh. You got to let us know in the chat if you guys are from Pittsburgh.
I see a whole bunch of them.
There's a ton of Pittsburgh guys in the chat. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of them have been DJing longer than the five of us. But yeah, Steve Spin, TJ, Hypnotizer, Nosliv, Eric G, Red. Yeah, there's
City
a
definitely
lot of
came out to
Pittsburgh-
represent today.
a lot of
Yeah,
Pittsburgh
man.
guys in here.
Pittsburgh. That's definitely what I love about going to Pittsburgh. When you've brought us up and we've done some of our DC Pittsburgh nights, it's like there's a lot of that symmetry where if you have like a DJ show or DJ Nerd Fest, you're going to get a lot of the cats coming out. And I remember when we were up there and we had practically a whole club just full of DJs, and it was mad fun. And the one guy that you had told me wasn't there that I had to meet one day was Selecta. And you were like, this dude is on my Mount Rushmore of music knowledge. And Selecta, man, we're so glad that you are here with us and spending time with us and giving us some of this history. Tell us about your first gig and what the song was at the moment.
The song was "I'm Your Idol," the highest title. Numero uno. I'm not a Puerto Rican. Special ed I got it made 88. Yeah, so my first gig actually was as a kid, 15 years young, at the William Pitt Student Union. They did parties. I did parties for the Black Student Union. It was me, Black Steel, and a couple other cats. We did equal parts house and hip hop. I mean, Strobe can tell you back then that house and hip hop were synonymous. We would play strictly rhythm records that had the same BPM as Chub Rock, Treat 'Em Right. So they got to be played back to back. So that was my first official gig, playing way underage at college, alcohol-free parties, mind you, in the basement, not the basement, the ground floor of the student union that Bonics knows quite well. So.
I think that's part of the cool thing about DJing. I think that goes even deeper than what people see in the surface. Like that is not your typical, story for a kid coming up, and to be 15 and to have those opportunities. And I think we're seeing more and more that nowadays, especially with like DJ battles and the online format and just kind of, younger, the younger generation is they're getting into this a lot younger, but
we also have a DJ school that, predominantly our students are like really, really young. So
I've probably met like over 1,000 kids since 2010. That's true. I do work with kids. I'm just saying, like, there's got to be something special about that time frame, though. I'm sure, you could probably never get that feeling back,
Nah.
Well, and it's something that I thought that stood out, that what you said. I feel like that's a lot of the DJs from that generation. You were definitely playing hip hop and house at a lot of venues, and a lot of us that grew up in that time frame, we crossed into both those genres pretty easily. I think even the influence Jungle Brothers had on me made that feel really easy to do too, because they're like, they're like, oh, this is this is music that we rock in the club, but we're b-boys at heart, and it kind of goes in those directions. So
a lot of crews back then had one house track on their record. Queen Latifah had a house track too, and then King Sun had a house track. Twin Hype pretty much did hip house. So it goes way back.
The whole hip house movement,
Mm-hmm. Doug Lazy, Casey Flight.
Yeah,
I'll shut up now.
No, Doug Lazy is that he was on the radio here in our market for a long time. Those night mix shows were fire. And all right, so now we're moving to Dave, right?
We got echo now.
Yeah. We got an echo. Someone's echoing.
Is that what the nice pan is all about?
Yes. Well, you were definitely. I don't know if that was intentional, Selecta or not, but you were definitely panning left and right in my earbuds here.
Yeah.
I don't have a pan on my S11. So
someone's got ping pong delay on.
Yeah.
Someone's getting fancy.
Someone put ping pong delay into the Ableton, into the Twitch.
I just heard the airplane effect.
I can't call
it. Oh.
Dave, you said your first gig was at Matrix.
Well, that was my first big residency. So I definitely had, that was not till like 2001 too, but like I had a lot of gigs before that, but that was like my first super big, I guess, residency that I was proud of.
Nice. When you first started, what was the spot and what was the jam?
Yeah, man. Tell us the hole in the wall place that you first started at.
Well, so my first gig was
this place.
I mean, my first gig in '95, and the first place I played for the first several years was a roller skating rink called Romp and Roll, and I was 15 years old, and I was playing at a roller skating rink, and I still remember the first song I ever played, the first night I DJ'd. I used to hang out with this Saturday night DJ. I was a skate guard during the day, which is just like, the skate around the rink, pick up kids if they fall, make sure everyone's going the right way. And so, I did that Saturday afternoons and Sunday afternoons, and Saturday night I would stay and skate, but I loved music. And so I'd hang out with the DJ there. His name was Jim McCann, and he's also the person who named me Digital Dave. And so the one night he called in sick, and I remember it was a Saturday night before Easter. He called in sick, and they had music there. And so the manager was like, Jim's not, coming in. He's sick. It's the night before Easter. I can't find anybody else. Do you want to give DJing a try? And I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Like I'd love to. I wasn't expecting it, but I was totally excited by it. So I still remember the very first song I played, which is kind of, funny looking back now, and almost I don't know, embarrassing, not embarrassing, whatever, but it was Something Happened on the Way to Heaven by Phil Collins, was actually the first song I ever played as a DJ. No joke. And I still remember it. The first song I ever played in a club, and it was one of the biggest songs at the time. So eventually one of the managers of the roller rink became my friend Jan, who became one of my best friends, was in my wedding. And we still hang out. He still does DJ gigs for me, or he does DJ gigs for me now. But originally he kind of helped me out a lot. And so he was the manager of the skating rink, but he also was running lights and DJing sometimes at a place called Donzi's. And that was one of the big clubs at the time. There was Metropole that Strobe referenced, and Metropole was kind of the industrial, almost what we'd maybe call modern day, hipster. It was the cool kids place. And Donzi's was the very, popular, bougie, what we would maybe think of as the Ed Hardy, Von Dutch, or the bottle service crowd place. I mean, those things weren't around back then in the 90s, but just to differentiate the style of the clientele at both. So Donzi's, he would run the lights there on Wednesdays, and Chris Kersey was actually the DJ there. So back in the day, if you ran lights as a DJ, usually if the regular DJ took off, you would go and you would fill in for him because you knew the night, because you'd always hang out there every night. So the one night Chris Kersey took off, I just turned 18, and you had to be 18 to work in a club. So Jan's like, do you want to do lights? And it was crazy at the time because there was 9 different light boards, and each one controlled a different type of lights. It wasn't like now where you have everything on one computer. And so I hung out there with him for the night, and I got to play a few songs. And I remember the first song I played in the club there was Hypnotize, which was pretty much the biggest song at the time. And he had to go to the bathroom, and he's like, here, we were playing house. He's like, just let the house record wind down and drop Hypnotize. But the other song I remember being super big at the time, I don't know who remembers this song. I know Strobe will. I'm not sure who else will, was Nightmare by Brainbug, which was a house record. Yeah. And it was one of those house records that it was not played on the radio. It was instrumental, but when you played it in the club, everyone in the club knew it. Eventually what would happen with, the Sandstorms of the world and Calabria and records like that, and Avicii records, it wasn't really played on the radio, but everyone in the club knew that. So yeah, that was kind of my story of the very, very beginning.
Yeah, those kind of get blurred now. There was a lot of that, I think, especially pre-internet, where certain songs you would only know if they were hot in the club. People wouldn't know what outside of the club, or would never choose to listen to that particular song, or wouldn't even know about it unless they were in a club setting. That's kind of gone these days.
A good example of that is Soho hop music. No one ever knows what that song is.
Yeah,
right.
Outside of a club setting.
That's a good example. Yeah.
I've had other DJs, younger DJs, but good DJs, ask me what the name of that song is. They're like, I love that song, but what's it called?
Well, that's just
lyrics.
Just dating how old you are.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of guys that, hey, at this point, if you've been a DJ in the game for 15 years, you're a veteran, but that was 2006. So,
that's one of the things that I have with teaching some of the students at the school. I think a lot of them have awesome taste in music. They have their own lane. They know what they're talking about. But then when I play certain records, or they're maybe looking at music out of my laptop, they don't quite get some of the records. And I think it's truly like you have to understand these club records. You kind of have to.
Do your own homework.
You got to be there. Not only do the homework, you got to be there to experience.
Right.
You have to experience it. Yeah.
What these records are about. Like this record, like on YouTube, like it doesn't carry over.
That's
It
right.
doesn't carry on the radio. That's why it's not played on the radio. They're like, what song is this? They're like, this song's fire. And I'm like, yo, this song is fire in the clubs, bro.
I mean, there's
And
songs that translate way better in the club system than than your iPhone or like your car.
I mean, we already know this to be true. I'm just
yeah.
talking about the disconnect, maybe from learning how to DJ at a certain age, and not being able to experience, how records, I go over in the club.
I think part of that's the context on how people are discovering music now, where you can just throw your whatever listening service you choose on shuffle and just let it do its thing.
Yeah.
But that actually, there's a question in there that I wanted to throw out to Selecta, Digital Dave, and Strobe. I'm from Baltimore, and Baltimore's known for Baltimore club music because at that time there was like a synergy between anybody who liked house and anybody who liked hip hop a lot, and then those are the people that like club. But was there a separation like there is now, and there was for a period after that, where there was like the house people and the house places, and then like the hip hop people and the hip hop places? I know there was like some overlap because Selecta had already kind of talked about that, but were there specific, like, if you were playing at a party with people who like Chub Rock, they were only going to let you go up to like 115 before they were like, all right, I'm tapping out? Or was that a normal thing there?
I think our venues were kind of unified. We had a historic venue called the Shadow Lounge that was an amalgamation of a lot of different genres every night. And then we had Club Havana, where I played at, where I could play hip hop and house as well, and what's hot on the radio currently too. So it was a big hodgepodge of songs. So we didn't really have much separation in the soulful house world. Perhaps Strobe can speak on other aspects of the house scene.
I mean, what years are you talking though? Because back in the 80s and early 90s, there wasn't soulful house really. It was just house.
Okay. Fair point. I'm talking about maybe the Pegasus scene versus what was happening elsewhere.
The Pegasus scene, because I used to DJ at Pegasus, was very high energy house and disco and game music, but there was no hip hop played at Pegasus.
Right.
That's the thing. Like Metropole never had hip hop. Even when Chris did like his Saturday night, like Chris Kersey would do his Saturday night live on the air mix show with 3 turntables, and I've never heard him train wreck. But like when he went down tempo, it was like maybe PM Dawn, Soho hippie chick, but there was no hip hop really played.
Or hypnotize, apparently, according to Dave, right?
Yes.
Now, so when I played, started filling in, even for Jan and watching Jan at Donzi's, which was like, the kind of more poppy crowd. It was mostly house music, but it was more like the brain bug type stuff, or think even like, Insomnia, Faithless. I'm sure more people even know that than brain bug. It was more that type of stuff. And then like once or twice a night, you would drop down and play like 3 or 4 hip hop records, like big, Hypnotize, California Love, Mo Money, Mo Problems type stuff. And then you would go back to house music. So I would say it was still about, 80%, 80+% house music, but you'd like sprinkle in those little drops there, here and there of hip hop. But then they also had that club, I believe it was on Sunday or Thursday? I forget. Chauncey's and Donzi's each had a hip hop night. I think Donzi's hip hop night was Sundays. And so what they would do on Sundays was it was literally 100% hip hop night. So the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Wednesday were more intended to be like dance music, house music. It still wasn't to that point where we were like Euro dance, like La Bouche type stuff. It was like in that upper 120s range. But then Sunday night there, they had an all hip hop night. So they kind of had it varied by nights.
Okay.
Now, Bonics, you started in radio, right? Is that
no, I started like doing college radio, I guess, but I would say as equal as like house parties eventually.
house party? Yeah.
And like doing the same parties that Selecta was doing. Like whether it was like a lot of pit parties, and then I would go to like hip hop shows, and then eventually just make relationships from there. But
Go ahead, Bonics. Go tell the story. Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
oh shit! No,
here we go.
my first. So like,
Tell it.
there's a group called the Asian Students Association, and they brought a group called the Mountain Brothers. I don't know. If you
Oh
remember
hell yeah, Mountain
yeah,
Brothers.
yeah. They were from Penn State,
shout.
and so I guess you get the budget, and you bring them in the tuition budget, and you bring those guys in, and it was going to be my first official gig, like that was public. And I think I had a horrible DJ name at that time. I think I only used it at one time, which was B Dazzler.
We all had bad ones.
It was on the flyer, and
I
was
didn't even
I
know
was
that.
White
I
Knight.
didn't even know that.
oh,
I was
yeah,
White Knight for
Exclusive.
for a year.
White
Ooh,
Knight.
yeah. Now we're getting into the good stuff, the bad names.
And so basically I was supposed to open up the show and be like the host, or maybe even do an opening set. And then if it was Club Laga, which is definitely a legendary spot in Pittsburgh, and I would be DJing from the back, like basically from the like front of house or whatever. And there would be a stage, and I did a sound check, and then Selecta, there was a setup on stage, which I guess the Mountain Brothers would use, and other acts to open the show. And Selecta was going to do a set as well. And so he started sound checking, and then he didn't stop DJing after that. And so I always say that like Jim basically stole my first gig, and he'll attest to that as well. And so like deep down inside, the little like Asian kid in me was like, I'm going to get this guy. And, but I mean, when I really look back on it, I like followed his footsteps, man. He I don't want to say big brothered me, but he definitely was like a mentor at the radio as far as like, just being a hip hop dude, because I looked up to him, but he was just coming up as well.
And we had a record store on campus, pretty much 720 Records. So Brandon would come in and cop, all the rock is 12 inches and
totally
everything that was out at that point.
Shouts to Joe Sweater. That's fire.
Yeah.
With the Marcus Records.
But I would say my first gig, like where I was like at a club and it felt official, was actually with DJ Nugget. And it was a place called Area 51, and there was a flyer, and it was like official. So that was my first joint. And it was a weird themed space club, which is kind of, I feel like it was kind of cool, but I've never seen anything like it, to be honest with you. And we did like was it under 21 night, Nugget? It was 18 and up or something like that.
18 and over.
It was 18 and over.
What's going on with Strobe's background right now?
That's amazing.
He's literally got all you guys.
I love it.
Wow.
You gotta get the video for the whole experience. Look at this. Look at this.
God, look at that.
He's a tourist out of all those guys.
Wow.
Oh, that's great. What the hell?
That's amazing.
Shout out Nicole.
So that's actually my Thursday acid jazz trip hop. I don't do it every week, but I do it the first week of the month because I have my green screen down. So most of these guys are like, I have different DJs. Like if you look at the background, there's logos of all, like there's like 100 DJ logos on there. Speaking of, if any of you have logos, get me your logos and I'll put them on the train. And so I have a stream deck and I can just pull DJs on and off just in the background while DJing. So like Selecta and Dave, and they've been on the train for a while. So
That's awesome.
That's dope.
Nugget, you've now elevated yourself to being a proprietor, owner of a venue.
Operator. Yeah.
Where did you cut your teeth?
So I started DJing in high school, but it wasn't like real DJing, I guess you would say. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. DJing was actually the first job I ever had. I had besides like cutting my neighbor's grass, but I grew up in the middle of nowhere, out like an hour outside of Pittsburgh in a really small town called Slickville. and really small.
Slick Bill.
Really small. It's cool, yeah.
Slick, bro.
But
The best name ever.
yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
You were
The
DJ
kid up
Slick
the
Bill,
street
weren't you?
from me- I
Slick
changed my
Villain.
name.
Slick Villain.
Yeah.
Slick Villain.
Yeah, I changed my name at one point to Slick Villain, which is kind of tight, actually. But yeah,
I'll allow
so
it.
I started in high school, and I was literally playing on like 2 CDJ or not CDJs, like 2 Sony Discman, and like I had a little Radio Shack mixer, and I was like mixing, like basically fading songs out and fading songs in, trying to match beats, but literally had no concept of how DJing worked because nobody did it in my area, like for real.
What led you to that even? What did
I just love music, and at the time I just had like 1 million tapes and CDs growing up. I spent all my money on music. So the kid up the street from me was graduating. What's that?
You were
dancing too. You were dancing by the time, right?
Yeah. I was really big into dance too. So I was really big into hip hop. So, the kid up the street from me, he was graduating, and he was like, "Do you want to take over DJing at the high school dances?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." But I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about speakers, amplifiers at that point, So he kind of got me in and mentored me and showed me what I need to do. And then I started DJing with my friend Ron. And then Ron dropped out, and I just kept DJing through high school. And then right around the time I was about to graduate, I got my first set of techniques, and I was actually really into breakdancing. So I was coming to Pittsburgh already to do a lot of like breakdancing shows and kind of traveling around. And that's how I originally met Selecta. Selecta was already killing it on the hip hop scene. Obviously, he was doing everything in Pittsburgh. That he was obviously a huge role model for me. And, there were a couple other guys. DJ Yamez was really big at the time, Out of Reach. There's a few other guys in Pittsburgh that were like killing it on the hip hop scene that I really looked up to. Nate the Fat Barber. I could keep going probably. And then when I finally got into DJing in the clubs, Bonics, he was one of the first guys that I had a night with. We had our first night together. A couple of friends of mine and I had met a club owner, and they let us take over a Tuesday night at the club. It was called Area 51 in the Strip District. Yeah, it was like this crazy space-themed club. I'm pretty sure that night was 18 and over, and we had a separate bar area. And I'll never forget meeting Bonics because it was me, my friend Anthony, and my friend Todd that threw the party, and I was just there to basically DJ. And I was just starting on records. I don't even think I was playing records yet at that club. And Todd came in with Bonics, and Bonics brought in his records. And as soon as he started, I was just like, "Oh, I got a lot of work to do." He was already killing it, So yeah, all these guys here. It was a couple of years before I met Digital Dave, and a couple of years before I met Strobe. But I consider all of these guys here to be like Pittsburgh legends, royalty, and dudes that I still look up to this day and who I talk about constantly. So
that's what's
So
up.
it sounds like Area 51 was a lot more prominent as a training wheels spot for the DJs in the Pittsburgh scene than it seems on the surface, even though it sounds like a total gimmick. But hey, respect to Area 51.
Yeah.
It turned into this place called Deja Vu, which definitely was had some good years on it and some good nights as well when the Strip District was popping off.
Totally different theme, clearly.
Yeah.
Deja Vu was like the bougie, like that was kind of our first martini bar meets a nightclub vibe place in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I think it was considered the first bottle service place because they had a third floor where they started doing like table service. As far as I know.
Yeah, what year was that?
2000, maybe 3.
Yeah, something in the early 2000s for sure. Because I do remember when I was working at H2O, like going up there beforehand to have a drink and stuff. So yeah, it was definitely in that era.
Was that a Tom Jason club?
No, that was
Bossa Nova. Bossa Nova was one, right?
No, Bossa Nova was Robin Fernandez.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who were Perla? Jason Perla.
Okay. Jason Perla, yeah.
Shouts to our boy DJ Junior Chuck in the chat, and guys are following.
Oh,
He's
Ben
talking
Wood!
about-
Whoa, Ben Wood is here. I want to give a shout out to Benny Wood, because Ben is another super Pittsburgh OG, like been DJing in clubs since the 90s and just, has run the gauntlet. Like, I mean, he's been DJing in like legit nightclubs as long as me, Nugget, and Bonics, if not maybe a touch longer. So, he's worked for years at Diesel, which is now Foxtail, and does all the DJ bookings and stuff there. So, big shout out to Ben in the chat there, Benny Wood.
There it
Yeah,
is.
what's up,
Big
B?
Big up.
Nice.
Just on my homie Junior Chuck.
Yeah, talking about a battle, DMC battle that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a small world. I brought the DMC battle in. I'm not a turntablist at all, but I brought it in because
so you promoted that one.
Yeah, because Christy, who runs DMC, is from Pittsburgh.
Christy.
That's right.
Christy Z is from Pittsburgh. So
Wait, is she from Slitsville?
no, she's from the suburbs, but only like 20 minutes out. So
What suburb is she from? So I have people who aren't from Pittsburgh might
no,
not know,
I believe she's just from the South Hills. That's it.
Okay.
Not to put her business out there, but a lot of people think
Hills.
Christy is from New York, which she is, because she's lived there for half her life. More than
Yeah,
half
she moved there and married
Yeah.
Fable.
Yeah.
But her accent did not leave Pittsburgh.
Nah.
She still has some of that Pittsburgh flow when she talks, for sure. And
But yeah, that's crazy that Chuck was in it because I brought it in and there was a mad contestants, Large Professor hosted, and it was an amazing. It was the first DMC in Pittsburgh.
Dude, so
That's
fun.
wild. That was
What
my
year
first
was
time
that?
going to Pittsburgh. I'm surprised I didn't meet you then.
It just
That was a handful of years, maybe 5 years ago, and DJ
Yeah, about 5
Throwdown.
years back.
I was
Yeah, Throwdown took it.
So I was supposed to go to that battle off the strength to go support the homies, but I couldn't make it out, man.
Okay,
But yeah.
crazy.
I was supposed to go to that battle.
now we all know that
I already had made something, but yeah.
Pittsburgh is always known as just this very a city of pride. Like if you're not from Pittsburgh, you still know Pittsburgh rolls deep. Anybody a fan of any Washington sports know that Pittsburgh will travel down hard for those Washington football team games.
And Redskins games.
Yes. And so how does that type of city, being that a lot of people, usually a city with a lot of pride is because a lot of people are from there, they're not transplants and they actually grow up there. How does that affect the nightlife scene, or was there a strong influence of people from the colleges as well to create like in DC, you need the college kids to create like the big buzz of a really flourishing nightlife scene. How is that? How does that translate
here? Yeah, completely. Without the colleges, we'd be a ghost town, pretty much.
Be a bunch of old fogies.
Yeah, I think we were second next to Miami Beach as far as elderly populations for years. So.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, that's like legit. I don't know if that's changed at all, but yeah, I know we were like the second oldest county as far as average age in the country.
Wow.
Now that I knew that like stat 15 years ago. I don't know, that could have changed since then.
Was that just means that people live longer there, right?
But yeah, I mean,
alive.
definitely a huge part of the crowd that goes out is definitely college kids, and really has always been college kids. I would say there's always been maybe enough room for like one, maybe two bigger clubs that are more like the 25 to 35-year-old crowd with money that still goes out and still goes in parties, but like the bulk of the parties, whether it's large venues or small venues, is definitely, 21 to 25-year-olds basically.
And
well, you guys were mentioning that like the I guess the first bottle service club. I guess what was it? Deja Vu. Somebody mentioned. Like,
I mean that they kind of started doing it like in like a semi-private room. I would say Privilege / Diesel
don't
that
count
open at the same time. Privilege and Diesel that opened very close to one another within 2 months of one another. Those were like the first two big, like what we would know as a modern bottle service club. And those both opened in 2006.
So explain to me how's the before those bottle service clubs came in, how was the DJs, the club DJ scene as far as like how many like of the big floor main, the big room clubs were there in the city, or compared to like the smaller lounges before, I guess a lot of the bottle service clubs came about? Like how many nightclubs do you think you guys were like in like before, I guess 05, 06?
So the strip district had like the Metropole and Rosebud spaces that Strobe was referencing earlier, and then it had a place called the Boardwalk that had one side was Donzi's and one side was Tequila Willie's. So it was right on one of our rivers, the Allegheny River. So the Boardwalk had two big places, and then there was
shouts to Allegheny County,
Riffer, down by the Riffer.
And then there was Bar Pittsburgh and Banana Joe's that were also in the strip district. And then Area 51 and then Bennywood also DJ'd it. We had a Have a Nice Day Cafe in the strip district. So in this strip district area, from like around 2000-ish, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 8 clubs that were like 600-700 person plus venues, which was crazy.
That's
and they were all in the same area. I mean, there was not a big club at that time. There was not a big club anywhere else in the city, but they were all in this one concentrated area. Oh, there's Jan. There's my Jan, who got me into DJing. That's DZ DJ 1501.
What up, Jan?
What up, Jan?
What's up, Jan?
He's the one that got me into Donzi's, and he's also Nugget. Knew him very early on from Jets, which was a place where Nugget used to go to battles.
Jets, Harborville.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, Jan. So there was a big club. It was a under 21 club and right outside of Pittsburgh called Jets that I grew up going to when I was like 16, 17 years old to go dance. And it was like my dream to DJ there. And I actually ended up being the last DJ to play at the place before it closed. I don't know if that's a good thing to brag about. But Jan actually was
part of your story.
Got me in there. Shout out to Jan.
Yes.
Yeah, and Ben just mentioned Sanctuary, which was also in the strip district area. That was open a little later than most of the other clubs were open in like the late 90s or right around 2000. Sanctuary came a touch later, but that was a church that was converted into a nightclub. And there was also a Red Bull 3 style there as well. And,
I've heard about this place. Yeah.
And it was a gorgeous venue. And so that was
Worst place bathroom.
Oh yeah. Well, so let me tell you, every big nightclub in Pittsburgh, maybe this is this way in most cities, has the restrooms are the complete opposite corner, like literally opposite corners of the room as the DJ booth. There's like no nightclub in Pittsburgh that has a good restroom for the DJs, but Sanctuary's was 3 floors away. Strobe, you can go tell them.
Well, I mean, so Sanctuary, you'd walk into the main floor, and then you had this DJ booth that was super high suspended. But to get to the bathroom, you had to go down the stair, like a single file stairs. So, like, it was at the complete
But then into the basement, too.
Into the basement.
You had to wear a harness.
Like, you literally had to put on, like, a, Village People mega mix and do this.
So straight up confession time. Wait, including DC DJs, how many DJs here have ever peed into an empty fog juice bottle? I will definitely confess to that one.
More than one. Look at that. 3.
Not at the club,
4.
though. Not at the club. I was way more lazier than that.
Oh yeah.
It's tough out there for a DJ sometimes, guys. You guys don't realize it.
I know a particular DJ that took a big dump in the trash can inside the DJ booth. I'm not gonna name names.
I never did that.
Gross.
That's gross.
I want to hear that story.
No, I do have a story once. This was in West Virginia, actually. This was actually a shout out to Eric G at a place he used to play at. I do have a story about it was actually an owner of a club who also DJ'd, who peed in a fog juice bottle and then got so drunk that he accidentally poured that into the fog machine. Cleared out the like 800 people gone in like 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Now the stench.
Wait.
That sounds like the
Eat
worst
into the
situation in a nightclub ever.
So he had one fog juice bottle that was empty to pee in, and one fog juice bottle that had actual fog juice in, and the fogger ran out, and he poured the wrong one into the fogger.
Yo. Amazing.
Oh my god.
Terrible.
I remember this story.
There's
It was
another.
not me.
There's another legendary story in DC of a club that had multiple levels, and the DJ on the top floor couldn't hold it, and he just started peeing on the floor, and it peed onto the head of the DJ underneath.
Oh, that's terrible.
Damn.
Wait, what venue? What venue was this, Chris? What
Was
venue
that
was
you,
this?
Dave?
Dave,
No.
Dave, guest DJ, and no,
This wasn't the park, was it?
No, it wasn't at the
No,
park.
no.
No.
No, there are
Good,
other
then
clubs
no one-
that has
no one
like
caught me
balcony
there then.
above like the DJ, so there's a whole bunch of them in DC.
Oh my gosh, we have we certainly have
Shit, yeah.
a lot of clubs in DC, and
Pittsburgh.
I've always been surprised how many clubs are in Pittsburgh, and how hard people party there. Like really, I mean, I've always been super impressed by the way that people kind of go out and really have a good time.
I mean, I think
And that also kind of explains the college kids really fueling the nightlife, having like the strip with everything concentrated to that one particular area and just going out and going hard every single time.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you have the strip district, but before COVID, there's also the South Side, which probably has the highest concentration of DJs, probably, I would say, in any city. Like, there's literally, if you were a candy shop, you had a DJ in it on Friday and Saturday nights. Am I wrong?
Wow.
Am I
So
wrong?
how far away is this from like the downtown area for those of us that
They
are
would
not as
bust the
familiar with the
college
city?
kids in.
Oh, okay, so for anyone I'm sure most people have at least seen pictures of Pittsburgh. There's two rivers, and the city makes kind of a triangle. So on the one side, the river on the left, the Allegheny, if you're looking at the skyline, that would be the area down there where the strip district is, with all the big clubs I was talking about before. The river on the right is the Monongahela, and opposite that river would be where Southside is. Now, Southside is before 2000, like in the 90s, there really weren't DJs there because it was all bars and really not even bars with dance floors. There's like one or two like Jimmy D's, but then things kind of changed. And nowadays, currently, or pre-COVID, as Strobe said, pretty much like even the bars, even if you don't have a dance floor, basically everyone in the South Side now has a DJ. And it's just like about 15 blocks of just bar, one after the other.
Yeah.
But then there's also some other areas like, Selecta definitely's played a lot more in kind of like the East Liberty area and like Shadyside, Oakland. And that's more in like the center of the physical city itself.
I think I've played on the south side a grand number of 10 times.
Wow.
Perhaps.
Yeah. So like and definitely like the South Side and the Strip District were more the mainstream crowds. And then the crowds that were, I'd say definitely looking for a little like, higher level music, not just, stuff they know and maybe looking to have a more cultured experience would go to more like the East Liberty type spots.
There you go.
There we go. There we go. Get this on display so people can see it and get some context.
Oh, we got okay.
So everybody on the podcast, Dave showed
got a
me,
regatta.
A Google image.
So the brown river is the Monongahela, and the regular colored river is the Allegheny. And the Monongahela, full disclosure, it's actually just very shallow. It's only about 13 feet deep. So the Monongahela is actually brown because like the silt and dirt gets kicked up from the bottom. It's not like a filthy, nasty river. There's also allegedly a B-52 bomber that crashed in there and is at the bottom of it somewhere.
I'm sorry.
And nobody found it.
Allegedly?
Well, it's
Nobody goes to
allegedly
check?
because apparently people saw it go into the river, but nobody can find it. But the river's only 13 feet deep. So how the hell
Right.
can you not find a plane in a 13-foot deep river?
And you said there was an Area 51 Area 51
Oh,
club.
yeah, you guys got some explaining to do.
Yeah.
Bermuda
cover up.
Triangle.
So now that we're talking a little bit more about like the range of the different types of clubs and different types of places that people would go out, can we go down the list of everybody's favorite clubs over the course of their career in Pittsburgh?
Or
And
just
tell us
like
a little bit
like,
about why?
like one or two. Let's Bonics. Can you jump through on that?
Yeah, I would have to definitely mention the Firehouse Lounge, which was like a total amazing spot for. I guess it was like doing the cool thing while the club scene was turning into the bottle service scene.
So it's more of
But-
an underground spot.
Yeah, but those big rooms like Matrix and all that, even though like those were like the quote unquote mainstream rooms, like imagine no phones and people just like going crazy and dancing in 4 different rooms with 4 different types of music. So I would definitely have to say Firehouse Lounge. And man, those were great nights at Havana, Selecta on Thursdays or whatever. Those were good. And of course, Shadow Lounge. I would just have to say Shadow Lounge, even though that I mean, I played there, but it wasn't like, it was not in a rotation type thing. I was doing.
You played
all-
there with Large
all types of
Professor.
shit.
There
But
you
I
go.
played there.
Woo!
I think I like
Talk your
played like
stuff.
one of the opening nights or whatever, because I was doing stuff. I had met Justin at the time, and I was like kind of doing a lot of pit things, and I guess I had a cool drawing, especially for like all the college kids. So I remember doing like the first week, maybe even one of the first nights, the Shadow Lounge was open. So I would just mention those two. But there's like Laga, just to be able to play at Laga. I opened up for Mars Volta there. I mean, I basically played at like every single venue that I like could, whether it was like for sports or fucking.
Yo, that's dope.
And
I
so-
fucking love the Mars
But
Volta.
Firehouse Lounge was a good place because we were able to get down and busy, and there was like just tasteful people there. And it was a good time. Strobe definitely had a great run there as well.
Oh yeah.
And both of these spots are like the early 2000s, like you said, the beginning of bottle
this was-
service.
Yeah, 2005,
Like mid-
7.
Yeah.
Okay, so mid 2000s.
2007,
Okay.
Yeah.
I just saw what was it? DJ Strobe, tell them about the closing night at Firehouse on the chat.
So, as Bonics was saying, Firehouse was a lounge in the Strip District, and it had 2 rooms. It had a big main room, which is where Bonics and Out of Reach spun, and I spun out on the deck. So the deck was a shittily built deck that probably did not pass any codes. And that's the main room.
That's the man.
And if the first picture at the top left
Kitty
is
deck.
me, it's me on the deck.
He just typed it in.
And so I don't know how many people it officially held, but it was always packed wall to wall. And when people danced, you felt the deck bounce. And for
If you
know,
Google fire hazard, it also comes up.
yeah. So the thing is that it was outside. So I DJ'd there every Saturday from like 2006 to 2011, and rain, snow, like there was a roof the cover they would put up, but like in the summer it was great. You would DJ, house music under the stars, but in the winter it was like, they had the heaters but the last night of Firehouse that it was open,
East Coast.
it was crazy. I mean, like I literally thought we were all going to die, and the deck was just going to fall apart, but it survived.
But how about when we had to climb up the ladder at the Firehouse with crates?
these
We had to
ladder
have
venues.
crates.
Well, that's because
We
you
had to
guys
have
were,
crates.
you were
That was
DJing
the
up on that
beginning.
little thing, but they stopped doing
Right.
that like forever.
Did they at least
was-
have a fire pole for you guys to come back down?
That was crazy, yeah. But with record crates, that was
Yeah.
insanity. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
was-
forgot about
I
the
was
little
shook.
loft place.
Yeah, that wasn't fun. It was a real firehouse though, so that's what was really cool about it too.
That is
Oh,
cool.
nice.
Yeah.
So, Selecta, where's your favorite spot you ever DJ'd?
Oh, you already know. Come on now.
The lounge.
That's an
Always
easy
the
one.
lounge.
Definitely.
Yeah, Shadow Lounge is the cultural mecca of Pittsburgh, and so Shadow Lounge in Havana, I would say, with the honorable mention of Firehouse as well. Those are the big three. I've never really played in a club per se that I recall, like a big room club. I guess Laga would be considered that, but that was kind of dingy, kind of. I was more of a venue, more of a concert venue than a club. So my favorite spots.
Selecta, what was the gear like at Shadow Lounge?
Oh, grimy 12s that they had 12s, but good luck. Yeah, they were missing ground wires and pitch was out of whack. But yeah, it was definitely a DIY venue that eventually morphed into a really legitimate venue. They didn't have a liquor license at first, and they were serving waffles late night. Saw Tortured Soul there at 3 o'clock in the morning live.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that was a great night. They had a late night house night, I think, on what's it, Sunday, Strobe?
Sundays at the wasn't it the place that was next door? What was
the
that?
waffle shop eventually went in, but they were selling waffles prior to the waffle shop.
No, but what was the lounge that was connected to
Ava
it?
was the more fancy Shadow Lounge offshoot around the corner.
That's where
It was like the side room, or was it a separate place?
with Jose Moran.
Well, there was Ava, there was the blue room within Shadow, then there was a Shadow proper.
Yeah.
So it was 3 spaces.
Nice.
dope.
Okay.
Strobe, what about you?
So besides the Firehouse, Metropole is my golden era because that's where I really learned to DJ, and because it was the first club that really played against mainstream. Like, they had an industrial night, they had a legit house night where it was like, 400 black queens voguing to house music on a Thursday night. They would have Friday, which was all industrial and new wave music, and I think Saturdays was like their live on the air mix show, but it was pretty, upfront music. Besides that, honestly, and not to blow smoke up Nugget's ass, but Goldmark, which the shirt is, I would say that probably my favorite place to play is the Goldmark. And the reason being is it is one of the few venues that A, is set up for a DJ, and 2, the owner is not up your ass. If you are playing at the Goldmark, you're never going to hear him you're never going to hear the owner, which is Nugget, saying, don't play this, don't play that, because he knows if you're there, you're going to play.
But let me jump in real quick and also mention the Goldmark. I thought we were talking clubs of yesteryear. Nugget, you already know. You already know.
Coming back
But
like a
Nugget,
phoenix.
No, the funny thing is,
Selecta's like, damn it, Strobe sucked up.
Nugget already knows where I'm going. He already knows where I'm going.
Hey Nugget,
So
I've never
talking
played
about-
I've never
was the
played a
first
Goldmark,
resident.
but that's my favorite too.
But talking about owners, I was responsible for Nugget installing a limiter
Hello.
in the club.
You're responsible for half the city installing limiters in the club.
That's where I was going. And I had a run in with Dave early on too, before we were friends. I think with Questlove when he was managing the spot in the strip. But
yeah.
I'm known to play loud, and Nugget.
They used to call you DJ Redline.
Exactly. Nugget socked it to me, but I learned my lesson. And now I learned to play.
And then I heard the story about how you touched the limiter, and then Nugget totally lost it.
That's the one time I saw Nugget turn into the Incredible Hulk. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh man, but that's what's always.
As soon as Strobe started telling the story about how I don't mess with anybody, I was like, here it comes. Selecta's coming for me. It's over.
I love it.
But that's what's great about someone like Nugget, who's always so like smiley and low key and easygoing. When they get mad, you know they're mad. You know it's legit.
I was
Like,
shook. Yeah, I was about to call in some backup, some bodyguards. Man.
Well, Nugget,
Sorry.
since we're talking about your favorite club, where besides the Goldmark being your favorite,
Besides the
places you
Goldmark, there we
owned.
go.
Yeah.
because I have had the privilege of playing at Goldmark, and it still goes down as one of my most memorable nights DJing. not only because with you, but just like everything that Selecta and Strobe were saying about the place. It's a special place for sure. And we played like 3 days after New Year's Eve, and I was expecting it to be kind of slow because it's the week after New Year's, and it was jam packed, and we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember warning you. I was like, I don't know what it's going to be like, because I think that was our first year in business.
Yeah.
And I remember telling you, I was like, I really feel, but you know how it is when you have a DJ from out of town, you want them to have the greatest night ever. But that actually was one of the most fun Goldmark nights in the 5 years we've been open. That was a great night.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, and we just like, I think you had just got your no effing request sign put up too, which was like big and
showcase it full on.
Yeah, it was like, yo, check this out. You like popped it on. I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. It's the coolest sign ever in a DJ.
Shout out New York Giant in the house.
Well, where's one of your favorite spots, Nugget?
Oh, Pittsburgh. My favorite spot was Firehouse too. It was like you could really get loose there and kind of flex, and also that was like really early Serato days. So I remember transitioning from vinyl to Serato in that space, and then like the blog era hit, and it was like music was going really nuts, and you could get away with a little bit of everything there. But you know, there's a few big clubs too that were really awesome. Dave ran 2 amazing, huge nightclubs in Pittsburgh, Privilege and Zen, and I those places were both insanely fun to play as far as like the bottle service big room thing goes. I really like playing those big rooms. And then another big room place that I loved playing was Whim. And the owner of that place owned a little bar called S Bar, which is, I cut my teeth there for a lot of years. And that guy actually mentored me, and he taught me a lot about the bar business too. And that place was the main reason that I really wanted to dive in and open up my own place. So those are a few of my favorite places.
Now, Gio, is that where you played?
Yeah, I played at S Bar when Nugget and Zimmy brought me.
I was
Shout
there.
out to Zim.
I came out that night.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah,
we had
I
think that was like right after a Pittsburgh Steelers game, and we had like the whole offensive line in that.
They were there like every Sunday night.
I remember the club Diesel wouldn't let Casey Hampton in, who was like, what position did he play for the Steelers?
Nose tackle.
He was huge, and they wouldn't let him in because his shirt was baggy. That was a tough one to swallow. That was weird.
Joey Porter was banned from like half the clubs in Pittsburgh because they'd let him in, but he'd cause these major fights in the clubs, and then he'd get banned from all of them.
Oh my god!
And didn't he get banned from coaching? I mean, he's like that guy.
Actually, wait, he got into a fight at a club that I work at, that Nuggets worked at, the Flats. He got into a fight as a coach, an off-duty coach going out to drink. He got into a fight with the doorman.
Yeah, he's got some anger issues.
Banned from TV.
Dave, did you tell us your favorite spot?
Yeah, Dave.
I did not. There's tons of honorable mentions. If I'm gonna go favorite, it's gonna have to be Privilege that Nugget referenced. So I managed there. It was like a 1,200 person room, and there were these big garage doors on the one side that opened up. So like in the summertime, it was this like indoor outdoor vibe, and it was the heyday of the mashup era and AM, and we had AM there, we had Vice there, we had Riz there, we had Spider, Sprite, Kevin Scott, like all these huge names in that era. And we pretty much had one guest in every weekend. And so I got to see Jazzy Jeff was there, you know, and Nugget played there originally Fridays, and I played Saturdays. And then eventually I was playing both nights, and I was kind of opening, you know, one night I'd open for a national act, and then the other night I would just play myself. But, you know, it was just a crazy club, and it was fun because you could kind of not push the boundaries as much as you could at like a Firehouse, but for a big room, you could push the boundaries there. After that, you know, definitely Cabo, which was kind of a follow-up, similar vibe as, you know, similar vibe kind of place. Cavo was definitely a place that I played the last 9-10 years that I loved a lot. The Cruise Bar, which was a gay club, I played there for 7 years on Thursdays, and that party was super, super fun. And definitely Flats, which is a current residency of mine. It was a just super fun spot. And then honestly, I'm going to throw Goldmark in there too. And I've played there so few times, unfortunately, but like every time I played like a Saturday night with Nugget, I played a couple. Me and Selecta did a sample party there, which is basically was super fun to do. And I actually randomly, I think, played there once with Brandon too, with Bonics. I don't think it was even planned. I just kind of showed up and he was already playing and we went back and forth a little bit. But definitely shout out to all those places. Privilege, definitely my favorite. Also, I just want to note, I've actually, with all these Pittsburgh guys, I've actually played sets with all of them, and they're pretty much some of my, a very small, I have a very short list of people I can DJ with and like really feel like we're on the same wavelength. And I really feel that way with all the guys in this group. So.
Oh, that's pretty
But do we feel that way about you? I'm kidding. We love you. We love you, Dave.
Group hug, guys. Group hug.
Group hug.
Strobe was I remember Strobe was saying something about golden era. It just gave me a good idea of next question here. But like what do you guys think? Starting with you, Strobe, what do you guys think is like the golden era of like the music scene and also the club scene? What were like the best years in your opinion in Pittsburgh? Starting with you, Strobe.
So because
or your favorite time, your favorite years.
My favorite time was 88 to 92. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it was a time where house music was just house music. It wasn't 20 different times. There was techno and there was house music, and the rave era was happening, but the clubs were so, like you could have a house night and you would have 300 black queens dancing to house music, and you don't get that anymore. It's not something that happens, at least not in Pittsburgh. You can't get, 3, black queens to come out and dance to house music. And it's heartbreaking because that is what the scene started. I mean, house music is about the black gay culture, and people forget that. It wasn't in Sweden, it wasn't Disclosure, it wasn't Daft Punk, it was, the black inner city, of Chicago, and the gay community is what embraced house music.
Preach.
And during that time, that community showed up, and we, like when Metropole, we had a back alley entrance, and it would just be a line down the strip for people to come in and just dance to like, Soho hot music and, Steve Silk Hurley and Frankie Knuckles and Todd Terry and whatever was big then. They just ate it up because there wasn't 1,000 releases a week. So the house music that came out, everybody loved, everybody knew it. And, there was a guy, Jerome, who was a big voguer. He was from DC. And records, and he would come and he would, bring like crazy records that we never heard. And
Jerome Aviance, right?
Yeah,
man.
I love Jerome. Jerome
that's a G right there.
Was one of my favorite people in the world. Like we would go travel and pick up music in New York and do all this crazy stuff. But he and like a bunch of other people were pivotal in how that music to a guy like me, a white kid who was into like new wave, and showed me like it's like this is what house is. Like you like I know you like the new wave and stuff, but and I would hear some stuff, and even before New York, he was like, this is what house is. It's like and it just totally opened my eyes. And it's like, I miss that time when there was such diversity. You had drag queens, you had club kids, people in suits, people in track suits and anything, people without shirts, people with sometimes without pants, and it was just a sweaty mess of people in this huge 1,300 person club with 3 stories that was just packed to the gill of people like going nuts for, you know, whatever music was being played. So, I mean, yeah, there are plenty of other times in Pittsburgh history where music was great. You know, I'll say, like, after the Firehouse closed, I did where the club where Dave used to manage turned into an EDM club called Static. And I was the sole resident DJ there from 2011 to 2013. And it was a big club, you know, so for a Pittsburgh spot to take a large format space and turn it into an EDM only club was a risk, but it worked. You know, for 3 years it was packed and we brought, you know, headliners in. So that was a pretty fun time too. But I mean, everybody's golden era is around when they had the best time being a resident somewhere.
Yeah.
Selecta, what do you say on that?
I hate to sound like a broken record, but I would have to say for the entire run of the Shadow Lounge, 2001 to 2013, it was just a great time. My record store was right across the street, so we would bring artists in, and they would go and dig and come back and do their show. And really, from when the Shadow Lounge shuttered in 2013 until when Nugget, you opened it, what, 2016?
2015 at the end.
Okay, so. Yeah, so for two to 3 years, there was nowhere for us to play. When I say us, I mean DJs that didn't fit in on the South Side. There was absolutely nowhere to play, so we had to use alternative spaces like art galleries and just alternate venues because there was nowhere where we could play jazz or neo soul or soulful house. It was just very limited. So major props to Nugget for opening up a place that made us feel at home and brought so much to Lawrenceville and to the DJ community. So big up.
Thanks.
I think having a record store right across the street from the club, it sounds like the ultimate situation to be in.
There was a church separating us, but yeah, we were parallel. We were on the next street over.
Still fire
from the venue. Yeah.
Bonics.
I like that we were like the transition from like, you know, starting with vinyl and having that experience and then going into Serato, which Nugget was talking about, that whole Firehouse era. And then, you know, then it led me into like 3-style. So, I mean, it's that whole like post-college thing for me, like 2002 to 2009, I think was just like we were DJing all the time. And matter of fact, we probably didn't see each other or go to those clubs often because we were DJing. Like I had a hard time remembering what privilege was. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, so many clubs, so many different things, so many venues. So, but those were good days because people were dancing. You know, there weren't really phones going on. Music was definitely changing, and there was definitely hey, don't play this type of rap music started happening a little bit as well. Versus I just remember clubs kind of being a little bit more, I don't want to say fully eclectic or whatever, but there was definitely a mix of music. So that part. And then there was like the promoters and the bottle service, like shout out to Mo, like Mo kind of introduced like this whole new sort of marketing vibe and flyers, and the Shadow Lounge was pushing culture and shit. So it was, that whole era was great because it was like the kids that were analog going and learning all this like digital shit, even as long as people held on to, right. And so we had I think we had a cool experience, you know, without social media, with social media, without streaming, with streaming. So that whole, we definitely transitioned into that, and that was a cool era for me.
Band phones.
I didn't realize we came up at the same time until this conversation, Bonics. But I have to say, I completely agree with you on that moment where it was like you learn on vinyl because you had no choice. But then Serato shows up right at the beginning of you really getting your footing. And there was a lot to be said about looking at it at a dance floor and there's no glowing light on people and just being able to appreciate that. And then the simplicity of not carrying every record you own.
Right. I couldn't believe, like, I was doing like 4-hour live radio shows, not repeating on vinyl. Like I could never, like, I don't think I could do that at all right now. But
Right
just
now, yeah.
doing that live on the radio, I had a good run too of doing radio shit, which was the classic, hey, we're live from the club broadcast, and they don't do that at all anymore, right? So that was definitely a vibe, and I definitely got away with a lot of shit on air, and it was good. It was consistent money, you know, because at times I didn't even have to DJ. I just was hosting, and this guy, Goofy White Kid, was DJing. So I was like hosting, and that was it.
Wait,
helped me turn. We had DJ Goofy White Kid. Yeah, he's like the head. He does imaging for iHeartRadio National and everything. He's definitely a hard
He's
worker.
down in Tampa nowadays.
Shouts to Goofy White Kid.
Yeah, Goofy White Kid. We did a lot of like, I was hosting and he was DJing, and I was able to like work on those skills early, and it was a good time. Like, we all had our little place and time, and you know, me and Nugget have like, I feel like we were always DJing like opposite things, right? So we barely even got to like see each other DJ as much, where we would hop in before or after, or be seen at the late night joints, you know, like H2O and shit like that.
Let's talk.
Shout out to After Hours too. Shout out to After Hours.
Yeah, let's do it quick. Like, give us a rundown of the After Hours spots in Pittsburgh. Where's the best After Hours spots?
Yeah, what time does Pittsburgh shut down essentially? And
regular venues 2 a.m. Like regular clubs too.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like DC.
DC's 3 though on the
weekend.
On the weekend.
Two on the weekday.
And 4 on the day before a national government holiday.
Yeah.
We're talking like we're not in a pandemic. Clearly, this is all before the pandemic, people. But
in the before times.
Hey, Nugget's opening on March 12th, man. He's getting ready to do this thing, you know.
Yeah.
Nugget, I'll be in town, man. I'll be in town.
So
Bonics, are you going to be in town?
Yeah.
For how long?
For the weekend.
Oh, damn it. I'm coming next week.
Saturday the 13th. You want to play with me?
Yeah.
Oh, here it goes.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
There it goes, guys.
We're all getting on a
Twitch.
Maybe we should all go. There's no clubs open.
No, we can't. We can't. Nugget will be at capacity. He won't be able to have
20 DJs and no customers.
That's the funny thing, guys. You saw how that happens. A lot of people were like, "Yo, how did you get this gig? How'd you get to play there?" And man, you can go through every answer in the book, but at the end of the day, it's like, I know a guy.
Yeah.
It's like I know a guy who got me in. I don't know. You just know people. You know, it's that networking side of it that you know,
relationships.
I didn't think I paid for a drink from like 2002 to, you know, for a long time. You know, there was that was a cool thing about Pittsburgh, man, is that, you know, they respected the DJ. So it really was like some Mento shit. You just walk up, you're a DJ, they'll let you in, man, and just say what's up. Walk in with the hat. You're not allowed to wear hats, but the DJ, but Nugget wearing a hat, you know, like having fun. So I really love the DJ culture and definitely supportive. And I just got to shout out like PDC and 8AMC and the dudes that are like keeping the shit going.
Sure.
And then the legends before me, like Black Steel and Super C, is probably one of the DJ gods in Pittsburgh. And then the radio gods too, Sly Jock and these guys, Nick Nice. And there's so much going on. And then the dance music shit it's so rich. I'm so happy. I always say that Pittsburgh prepared me because I knew it was a smaller city, and I was like, man, if I gotta blow up and go to New York and Philly and back to Philly and all these places, I better go and throw it down. Come to realize that I don't want to say it over prepared me for it, but like it definitely compensated by like going to drum and bass on Wednesdays and going to a reggae night at Pub IG. Man, how could we not say that spot for me was a great spot. Wow. And so I think that you like, I don't know, for me, my observation would be like, you know, in a small city, you just like, yo, I need to be heard. I don't care because I know that there's big dogs in all these cities. And I would hold Pittsburgh DJs up to, you know, a lot of DJs across the country because I feel like a lot of music went through here, drum and bass and Diesel Boy.
Diesel Boy, yeah.
Diesel Boy,
telling these guys earlier about how Diesel Boy, he was pretty much the household name in DC. You know, like you had Diesel Boy coming to a show, it was guaranteed to be just line out the door.
Packed out.
But and you know, for everybody listening, that's specifically to a lot of what Bonics just said is why we wanted to start our city series of showcasing different cities with Pittsburgh in particular, because it's very easy to be like, oh, we're going to start doing these city shows. Let's do New York or Miami or Chicago or LA, or just very obvious choices. And we
are very specific about not going to the big cities that everybody knows the history and the scene and the players in those scenes too.
And also just, I think in my personal opinion, the underratedness of Pittsburgh and how thick the culture is there and how many really, really dope DJs I've met over the years in Pittsburgh.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, coming up, one of my favorite times, because, you know, I didn't get to mention it and I don't mind, except I want to reference kind of what you were saying, piggyback off of what you were saying, was probably like 06 to 2010, 11. And to me, that was kind of my heyday. And I felt like Pittsburgh at that time had so many venues and so many really good venues, and they were all busy. And you had places like on a Sunday night, you could go to S-Bar, you know, where Nugget and Zimmy were playing, or Diesel. I was playing at Diesel for a long time on Sundays. They started the night and I took it over when they went to S-Bar. But there were two places on Sunday night that were like clubs that were busy. And it was just a fun era. And then you had so much DJ talent at that time, you know, and like the kind of mainstream clubs, it was, you know, Goofy White Kid and Bonics and Nugget and me and Zimmy. And, you know, toward the end of that era, PDC and, you know, Strobe and Selecta were around, and Black Steel and Nate the Fat Barber and all those guys that were mentioned earlier. And there's just so much incredible DJ talent in Pittsburgh. Some of it's kind of known outside the city, and some of it, like you said, isn't really known outside the city, but it's just I feel like a phenomenal city to come up in. And another thing I wanted to mention real quick, because a lot of people don't know this, and I think a lot of the people that are on this podcast have played a role in this. But Pittsburgh's one of the few cities where you can go into any nightclub, like nightclub, and the main setup is turntables. Like most big cities, everywhere. You go in and the main setup is CDJs in most big cities when you go in. And in Pittsburgh, some places will have turntables and CDJs, but they all have turntables, and most of them have just turntables, you know, whereas in other cities they have just CDJs and maybe they also have turntables. So I've always thought that was something that is dope about Pittsburgh, and I think a lot of people on this podcast are responsible for that.
Yeah,
that's very telling.
I'd like to add too, especially because all of us did come up in the vinyl era, that Pittsburgh like record store like history and shit is for us. So like
Jerry's,
and obviously like Selecta and 720 and Jerry's and the Attic, and man, there's so many countless spots. Yeah, the dude in the North Hills.
Stediford's in the north side.
Dude in the North Hills. The guy that sells the records out of his
dude, man. I forget his name. He had
Record
Rama.
Record Rama was the biggest record store in the world at one point.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And Jazzy Jeff has made trips. I believe this is what I've heard. Nugget, you could probably confirm this, but I've heard Jazzy Jeff's come out to Pittsburgh, just not even playing a gig, just to go digging at Jerry's.
Yeah, he does. I've
heard that story before.
Kenny Dope.
Kenny Dope and
Dilla,
right? Yeah,
and the late Dilla. Yep. That was the suburban trip they were talking about on the Serato cast.
You mentioned that. I realize now that in the second Goldie Awards, ADMC was wearing a Jerry's Records t-shirt.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Yeah.
You did, yeah.
Well, you mentioned PDC, ADMC. Shouts to those guys. Shouts to the homies. Who are the other guys that maybe the next generation of cats that to look out for coming out of the Pittsburgh scene?
Let's go around. Let's everybody give us like one or two names. So
before we do that, can we round it out with Nugget? Your favorite era for DJing?
Oh yeah, my 20s probably. Like 2000 to 2010. I mean, that was just like the era for me, and that's when I met all these guys. And one thing that like nobody really touched on was a big thing for me was whenever we started bringing in DJs from other cities, and Dave had a part in that whenever he was managing Privilege and meeting everybody, and guys coming in from New York, LA, and people that you knew from like MySpace and mixtapes, the mixtape era. But that was really cool. Everybody coming in to see, and we'd have tons of DJs show up to see all these guys from other cities that were coming into rock, and then you're looking at these guys. A lot of these guys, like I remember meeting Riz, and I could go on and on and on about so many guys, like in the club era, Rock the Con. We brought AM in, Jeff,
Spider.
But Spider was actually the first guy I think that came to your club, and they were just super down to earth guys and happy to travel, and they were really excited about what we had going on in Pittsburgh, and that was a really cool time too, because
fashion, yeah,
a lot of us started traveling after that and seeing different cities and meeting guys in other cities, and it opened our eyes up. And that was a big thing with me opening my bar, as I got to travel and DJ in some other places, and I took a little bit out of some of the places that I loved in other cities, and tried to bring a little bit back to Pittsburgh with certain things that I liked, but with what I already knew from the club scene and the bar scene in the city at the time too. So that was a really fun decade in my life. And to be perfectly honest with you, in the early 2010s, I started getting a little burnout because I was playing like 6 nights a week for over a decade, or 5 nights a week for over a decade. And, I'm really happy now that I can be at my bar, and I have different guys playing every night, and some of them are a little bit older and they have the crazy amounts of history, and like some of these guys, and some of them are really young and they're hungry and they want to start throwing their own parties and stuff. So, I'm just happy that I got to experience that 10 years of my life, because it really changed my life. So.
And by everything everybody on this panel has said, you are definitely a big contributor to the next generation, opening up with Goldmark and everything. So let's continue on right there. Can we do a rapid fire, some names of some DJs from Pittsburgh that people should know about, either past or future? We start off with Strobe again.
Sure. I have to say, Pittsburgh has a long history of house. I will say this: a lot of people may or may not know, but one of my favorite house nights that I did is with Bonics at a little tapas bar called Ibiza.
Hey.
And we played nothing but soulful house. And for people who don't know, Bonics is an amazing soulful house DJ.
Hey.
So I just got to flex with that. There's a lot of like history.
Thank you, dude.
Eric Justin, Brother Mike, Jose Moran, Terry Kicks. There's a lot of history. But my favorite new house DJ in Pittsburgh is Samuel Andres. He's played at the Goldmark a bunch of times. I met him a bunch of years ago, but I got him in, with Nugget at the Goldmark, and he's killing it right now. Puerto Rican cat, love it.
Nice.
Ben Woods, also a great house DJ.
Ben Woods is in the chat.
Ben Woods, a great anything DJ.
Yeah.
Shout to Benny Wood up in the Shizat.
I bet. Selecta, why don't we have you up next?
From the past,
DJs
I would have to
up and coming DJs.
Yeah, from the past, I would have to say our 2 premier turntablists from the past, Super C and DJ Double K. Double K used to DJ for a group called Hardcore, and one of the MCs in that group, you may have heard of him for his production skills. His name is Melman, and he went on to produce with Dr. Dre everything post-Chronic. Anytime you hear a hard snare on a Dre joint, that's Melman.
Yep.
So from also Nate the Fat Barber, legendary.
Wow.
We just lost an amazing DJ that was part of our DJ community. His name is DJ Vex. Rest in peace.
Right.
I don't know how many of you remember Vex, but really good dude. And on the upcoming tip, Nugget. I mean, he used to play a Nugget spot. I love JX4. So it's on the new tip.
Yeah. Nice.
Better bet. Bonics up next. Upcoming or former DJs.
I don't know. Like what comes to my head, like early This dude, Paul Dang, was a big influence, man. He was like the coolest Asian guy I knew, and he DJ'd, and so like I wanted to be like him. He had a zine, he had his own clothes. He was like this hip hop dude that I looked up to. So definitely props to him. Tom Cox comes in it to name. Like I love Tom.
Oh,
He's
no.
this super house guy that I don't know, that I still talk to actually, and he's just super pure.
You gotta
house
know
guy.
Tom. You gotta know Tom to love
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, I got to shout out DJ Bamboo, man. He puts in work.
How's the bamboo?
How's the bamboo?
Yeah, Bamboo, definitely. Of course,
glad you
PD.
I didn't want to mention because it's for you guys, but yeah, he's the homie.
Right. I don't want to say PD one more time because he said he'll appear if we say him.
Hey, don't
appears.
say say
PDC.
PDCs.
What up, Impulse?
Oh,
Yo, not
Um,
to go too deep though, but like what Bonics was saying about what's the first guy's name? The Asian cat?
Bamboo.
No,
Paul Dang.
Paul
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah.
Oh, bang. Okay.
Again, I guess growing up in America, Asian, especially Southeast Asian kids, man, we didn't have it. We didn't have a lot. We didn't have the same like heroes to look up to, guys. So like when we found someone that looked like us, even for me in the 90s, man, Tiger Woods, bro. Like I'm Thai, so for this dude to be part Thai, like you got to realize in the 90s, the Thai community was bugged. Like, yeah, Tiger Woods, and he, I just thought that was cool, man. Sorry.
But then if you're Filipino, you got a million DJs to look up to, man. Especially in the
But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to find. Like you had to get the tapes or Sugar Frag or shit,
'cause
or
that was a
like you had to
different
buy
time.
the videos or or whatever. So it wasn't as accessible as it feels now. So
there was
when
not people like us to look up to.
yeah, well, the Beat Junkies like came on tour, like maybe Spit Kickers or something, and like I got to kick it with those dudes and just seeing that shit live. And then I was talking about the Mountain Brothers with Selecta, with this Asian group, and the Pacifics, these cats from Chicago that were
Pacifics,
pretty
yes.
cool. Yeah, so
I used to DJ a lot of the Asian Asian student union. That's what we have. That's what we have in common.
they're
Bonics,
popping. Selecta DJ the Asian groups. They were the best parties, hands down.
Actually, I met
totally.
my wife. She was a
dance.
president of the Asian Student Association in Mary Washington, and they had a show. They were supposed to have Mountain Brothers come in, but they couldn't make it. Somehow, like they couldn't fly in.
They got stuck.
Selecta wasn't available to open for them.
But then, like, they
stole their gig.
They brought me. Yeah, we basically stole their gig, man. We got paid Mountain Brothers money for like 30 minutes of DJing, man. Which is I'm fine with. But that's how I met my wife. But yeah, the whole Mountain Brothers.
He told her he was the Mountain Brother.
I'm a long lost Mountain Brother. I promise you.
I brought Sprite and everything, man.
Nugget Dave, you up next. DJs from history, DJs up and coming from Pittsburgh. What you got?
Oh,
You've already said a few of them, actually.
Yeah. I mean, DJs from history. I mean, Chris Kersey, which Strobe referenced earlier. I light teched for him back in the day. And, I learned just really watching him. I mean, it wasn't really a teaching type thing, but I learned so much from watching him. Like Ben Wood, who we've been talking about a few times, is like just the super OG from back in the day. Black Steel, who I know Selecta mentioned earlier, when I was coming up in WPTS, Pitt's radio station that me, Bonics, and Selecta all were at. He was just like the dude there, and Black Steel he's still doing it. And, he was definitely someone from back in the day that was, definitely someone that impressed me and that I loved. And obviously all these cats here, up and coming. I want to give a shout out, actually, she's not in Pittsburgh anymore, but I want to give a shout out to Maria Romano, who is from Pittsburgh, from Newcastle, north of Pittsburgh. And she spent a few short years kind of DJing and polishing her craft in Pittsburgh, and then she went out to Vegas and is doing some big things like pool parties, playing at like Dre's out there now. So she's doing some big things out in Vegas, and definitely has a really good ear and is a really good DJ. So shout out Maria Romano.
Nice,
totally.
Heck yeah.
Boom. And last but not least, Nugget. Any names we should know?
Yeah. On the old school, growing up wise, obviously all these guys, shout out all the guys that I came up with that I watched when I was going to parties. Yamez, Out of Reach, Azir, Paul Dang. Oh man, Alexander the Mad Hater, who taught me a lot about house music before I was even schooled and knew anything about house music. And then new school wise, not even new school wise. I mean, some of these guys have been DJing for years, but my two Selecta mentioned JX4. He's one of my closest friends and homies who I talk about music with every day. And DJ Red, shout out to Red.
Shout out to Red.
Closest friends I talk about music with. I think he might be in the Twitch chat here.
I saw him in the chat.
Yeah. I have the pleasure of meeting all the young DJs because a lot of them come to the bar and I get to, they did come to the bar and we were open, but I have the pleasure of meeting them and starting to throw parties with a lot of them. But Alex Rivera is a young cat in Pittsburgh on the hip hop side of things. That's really dope. Adam C, obviously on the technical side and the, showmanship side, the PITTSBURGH kids on the electronic music side, the long-term guys. I could keep going and going, but there's a lot of guys. Bamboo, of course, is the style god and, super insanely technical DJ. But yeah, I'm just, Pittsburgh's dope, man. There's a lot of like really amazing DJ talent. I mean, ever since I came in there, late 90s, early 2000s, I'm still blown away about how much insanely good DJ talent there is in the city. And the best part about Pittsburgh and, the fact that you guys had us on here, this is so dope to get to reconnect to all these guys. But the best part, in my opinion, especially after talking to so many DJs and so many different scenes from so many different cities, is that we're all so close. Everybody's just super tight. We all talk to each other. Everybody has everybody's number. It doesn't really matter if you play in the clubs or you play in the bars or you play your own parties or you're playing the electronic music stuff. The city's so small, which a lot of people look at that as a downside, but I look at it as an upside because you get to meet everybody and kind of chop it up with everybody. So
it's tight.
Yeah, nobody's like catty here with each other. Like everybody's supportive. And also I feel like the older DJs, I mean Strobe and Godzilla over there. Strobe and Godzilla, Bonics, Nugget, I feel like we've had a great culture in the club scene of helping to foster the younger guys. Like a lot of cities, we talk about DJs complain about, oh, this younger guy's undercutting me. Well, that's the younger guy's only way to get in the club. And I know whether we're DJs or managers or promoters or through all of the different owners and through all the different things we've done, I know all of us, myself, Bonics, Nugget, we put on younger DJs, to nights. We've gotten to say, hey, like, do you want to play this party? Do you want to play that party? And so I also think not just among ourselves, but I think we've always been really open to helping the younger guys, which you don't always see. Some cities, the older guys feel threatened by the younger guys. And it's not the case in Pittsburgh either. It's a very symbiotic relationship between like the older cats and the up and comers.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's really.
Also, I got to shout out DJ Climax, DJ Midas, DJ PDC. Shout out to DJ PDC's battle next week, the Battle Gories battle. He's putting a huge battle on, DJ battle in Pittsburgh.
Really
nice. My brain just like,
shout out to McFly from back in the day. And,
oh my God, yeah.
Pete Butter.
Marty McFly.
Alex Rivera.
Also, Alex the Mad Hater might be my favorite DJ name right now. That's amazing.
The Mad Hater,
dude. Not Nugget. Yeah, there's somebody else, Nugget, that plays at Goldmark that has like an amazing DJ name. I can't think of who it is. Oh, this is gonna drive me crazy. But you have another one of there. It's like one of the weekly residents there that has just this like awesome DJ name.
Oh man,
I don't know.
Oh
well, it'll come. I'll think of it after the show. I'll think of it after the show's over. I'm gonna like start going back through old Goldmark flyers right now.
Goldmark flyers.
How many of you guys? I think this would probably be more for Selecta and Strobe. In DC, a lot of the OG DJs in like the heyday of the clubs when I'm kind of probably the same. I would say like 80, 87, 88 to that 92 era. A lot of the guys talk about the pay rates. The pay rates in those days, especially pre-Serato, were a lot higher than they are now. And then if you take into account inflation, I feel like the last 10 years at least, the pay rate hasn't gone up at all. And in some cases, it's even gone down. And even in bigger cities, LA, New York, they talk about how clubs will, even at some of the biggest clubs, they're like, nope, $500, that's it. And so what do you guys, have you kind of seen that same thing where it was like 20 years ago, you could actually make more money than you can now?
Strobe?
Well, I mean, there's also in Pittsburgh during the earlier times, there wasn't the saturation of DJs there are. So
Exactly.
if you're in a city and you've got 10 top tier, and I don't mean 10 like really heavy working DJs who are the go-to DJs, it's easier to get more money than when you have 100 DJs in a city and you have more DJs that are willing to play for drink tickets to get in and undercut. Why would I pay you $200 when this guy said he'll DJ for like 3 IC lights? And, every DJ in Pittsburgh in this chat has had this thing where it's like, you're having to compete with people who will DJ for nothing to get in the door. And, back in the day, you would never do that shit because you had to pay your dues. You would never undercut, because if you undercut, like the DJs that came and tried to undercut Chris Kersey never DJ'd again. It's like you just didn't do that shit.
Down again, kid.
So, back in the day, like when we worked at Metropole, we got paid, a salary. We were on the payroll. We had a budget for records. Like we had a monthly budget to buy records. We had, budgets to travel and buy records. So they treated us not as like hourly employees or like just entertainment. They treated us as the, as actual, valued, part of the process. And I think that, that's something that gets lost. It's like sometimes you'll get, now it's like the guy who is the host or the bottle service or whatever is more important to the people who run the clubs than the DJs. And it's like, where do we fucking get to a point where the DJ is not the most important part of the club, other than you got to make money. But if you're coming to a club not to watch a DJ, then that to me is kind of that's not a club I really want to be at. I'm saying.
Super facts.
Selecta, what can you add to that?
I mean, it's like the minimum wage. I mean, that hasn't changed. That hasn't changed in how many years? What?
Selecta, listen to me. The top 1% of DJs need to understand that the rest of the DJs need to get paid, and we got to get rid of them.
Here we go.
Listen, we need sensible shoes. We need sensible shoes. We need DJ booths closer to the DJ bathrooms.
Come on, Bernie.
We need to be paid what we're worth. Thank you. Go back, my Jewish brethren.
And Strobe requests the DJ booth where he cannot wear pants.
Most of
there's gotta be a fan blowing at it.
Most of my parties, I usually get the door, me and my DJ partner. So, bar nights are bar nights. I mean, bar nights have been on weekdays, 152 for as long as I can remember. On weekdays, I mean, that hasn't changed in several decades. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't become a full-time DJ until 2013. I had a full-time job for 17 years. So I really never looked at playing at big clubs as a source of revenue, and I never did. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Wow, that's the more that we've got to build with you. My DC homies here is Selecta not the Pittsburgh version of Oh So Fresh, if you ever knew it.
Wow.
Oh So Fresh is the man. Yeah. We both are vinyl hoarders.
And he's a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan too, actually.
We both have insane 45 collections just coming out.
Oh, flexing.
Damn.
Yeah. So Oso Fresh worked at
Come in.
Oso
Yeah,
Fresh
he's-
worked at my record store with me.
And he's a doctor too, so you know.
And he he was one of the first DJs that I ever learned of in DC as a young high school kid. He was one of the first dudes I followed. And when I actually threw my very first weekly party, not even as a DJ but as a promoter, he was my hip hop DJ. So that's family, man.
Bobby.
Yeah, man. Bobby's the dude. But back and
Wednesday night at Pollen, man.
yeah, man. But it's interesting to think about. If you want to know how much a DJ's cared for or appreciated in a nightclub, all you have to look at is the fact that in the last 20 years, the rent of that place has gone up, wherever that venue is. The drinks have gone up at that venue. The bartenders probably make more money than they did at that venue. The manager's salary is more than it was 20 years ago. The DJ is either the same or in a lot of places not even the same. And that to me, the math will never lie to you. And that's a big problem, whether you're in a big city or DC or Pittsburgh or anywhere. We really have to start taking care of each other, or this profession is going to be more of just a hobby.
Strobe
And-
is the
and
answer.
I think-
The answer to that one is Strobe. Is Strobe for sure.
Yeah,
I have
well,
about. Yeah. Go ahead.
What?
We were answering the question below.
Oh,
Who has more-
someone asked who has the
Who has
most
more records?
For real? I was actually gonna guess. You, Selecta.
No.
No.
The only reason I say that is because
he had a budget to buy records.
Yeah, it was built into the salary.
If you look at, first of all, I've been collecting since '86, but like I never stop. Like I'm constantly buying new to me records, classic records. I don't really buy a lot of new records, but I live in a small town in Ontario, and Discogs is my therapy.
Juno is my therapy, so there you have it. Juno.
See, I don't buy, like, because I was a Billboard reporter and because I produce and I have label connects, I usually get most of my records, new stuff, for free. So I spend the money on like classic records. So that's usually where most of my money goes, is buying, classic house vinyl constantly. And if my wife's listening to this, then she's probably like, "Oh."
And
yeah.
Selecta has trouble finding all the new Takashi records on 12-inch.
I do have to say one other thing, that Digital Dave and I. So he mentioned Matrix. So he was the DJ in the main room, which was Goddess, which was like the big top 40 room, and I was the DJ in this little shithole back room called Exit, and like I played like New York style house. And what he hasn't told you is that he wore a toga and I had to wear a monk's cape.
Not only did I wear a toga, I had blonde tips. I had like Ricky Martin / NSYNC style, like blonde highlighted hair at the time.
I also had to stand on a box because I was too short to read to DJ stuff. It stood there. Jan used it too. Mark Hypnotize It in the chat will attest that box was still there till that place was torn down.
Wow.
So yeah, it's crazy, Strobe. I was thinking earlier, I think I'm actually the second tallest DJ in this group at 5'10". I think Bonics is just slightly taller than me, but
man, you guys are not going to be the five that get called for next at the basketball court.
I think Nugget and I are of equal height. Yeah.
What do you?
Me and
Hey,
Bonics and Nugget used to hoop together, actually.
I say that I'm 5'7". How about you, Nugget? 5'6"
I'm
5'7".
5'5.5".
What, Brandon? You're what?
Let's
Like
get something
5'11",
real clear.
6 foot?
5'10". I'm 5'10".
I'm only growing this beard so I can look more like.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Somebody
You gotta highlight the beard, though.
screenshot
Just
that.
highlight the
Screenshot
He's about
beard.
to
That's a
take, he's about
meme.
to take his head off.
Somebody screenshot that. and
I
Send
just
that thing.
I screenshotted it. I get it.
Oh,
That'll be the flyer for when the reopening
okay.
happens.
So-
We're back.
There we go.
Oy vey.
That's gonna be
Oh
one of
my God.
that's
Okay.
gonna be one of
That's
Strobe's,
gonna be like on everybody's phone, everybody's image of
That's
him
gonna be
in your
on
phone book.
Strobe's next stream. That'll be the background in Strobe's next stream.
Oh my god.
Every time
Like the chat said, don't enable him.
every time he plays a banger, he's gonna throw up the Nugget meme.
Actually, someone's got to cut that out and make it into a Twitch emoji.
You heard it, chat. Somebody do it, man. Do it right now. Hopefully y'all screenshotted that.
So I want everyone at some point here to before we end eventually to get a chance, because there's so many good ones to tell a good Pittsburgh nightclub story, crazy shit that happened to them.
That's a good way to wrap it up. I think we should end out on that.
That should be the last thing we talk about. Yeah, definitely. Who wants to go first?
Not me.
You got something in mind, Dave?
I wanted to mention something about the pay question or whatever.
Yeah, go for it.
Just because, like, real quick, because I recently thought about this. I literally haven't thought about this since it was happening. But I did a lot of I could have probably been making way more money from these promoters or whatever, but I was like cool with $300. But we were packing clubs and people were paying like $20 at the door and shit. And in hindsight, I'm like, fuck. But also at the time, I was like, why wouldn't I do this for $300? You know what I mean? And I think I did a lot of, I think that rate or whatever isn't what I'd take, but I felt like I was always kind of getting that. That was like a radio club standard. But in hindsight, I should have been making more off those promoters. But I didn't care because I loved it, and I was DJing like every fucking night, and it was cash.
In hindsight, I think everybody feels that way in terms of if you've been in it long enough, you feel like you're standing there, what you're gonna get at the end of the night, and you're cool with it. That's why you came out, because you're having a great time. But you're looking at the bar, and you're just watching this bar just flood money in, and
you do the math real quick and figure out what they're making too.
What you're getting paid is usually getting paid by one small group in like 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Right.
They are paying what they're paying you.
I would DJ for $300 for some shit. Like, I love DJing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if I had to, whatever it may be, it wouldn't be everything, but I don't think that's bad for playing music that most people didn't buy.
Yeah, for sure. I came in at a weird time, man. Chris helped me get into the club scene like right at the tail end of the price change. It was like it went basically from like 6.5 immediately down like half, all of a sudden. I don't know. 20 cents was weird.
All right, so let's get some of these club stories. We're about to lose Strobe. Again, if you're listening to the audio-only version of this, Strobe just took the lagged screenshot for Nugget and put it in his background. So the chat has spoken.
And then now Nugget's stuck on the mean mug background.
Are you doing all this on a PC or Mac?
I stream on a PC, but I'm doing this on a Mac right now.
Got it. Just nerd stuff, questioning.
Anybody else have stories?
I got a PC setup back here.
Yes.
So I guess I'll start. So one crazy one of mine is a place called Chrome, which was one of the first places I DJ'd at. That was like a club. It was 2001 and 2001 to like 2003, and it was an after-hours spot. It was right next to Permanis. For any of those who are familiar with Pittsburgh, Permani Brothers, like the late night sandwich spot, and it was next to the original Permanis. So we're an after-hours club, and it was on the second floor, and you could legitimately fit like 300 people in there, but it was a single staircase and a single doorway. So basically what would happen is our capacity was like 89, 92, something weird like that, because it was such a because there was only a single staircase with a single door. So that was something that really figured into capacity. But in reality, you could fit like 300 people there. So this is the same club. Many of you have heard this story, so I'm not telling this story tonight, but this was the same club I got knocked out by Zeus the bouncer in. But
I thought
this
that was
other
then.
Zeus.
No. Zeus knocked me out in Chrome. And if you look on the internet, if you Google it, I mean, you can literally probably Google me getting knocked out by Zeus and find stuff.
Yeah,
about
I see
it.
that story on.
I've
DJ
talked
Tech
about
Rules.
it on a few podcasts. So, anyways, what happened was you can't sell liquor after 2 a.m. in PA, and so what these after hours clubs back in the day, not just Chrome but multiple ones would do. The way they would get around it is they would charge like a $20 or $10 cover, whatever it was, and then they had like bottom shelf alcohol, and they'd give you the alcohol for free. So they technically weren't breaking the liquor law because they were not selling alcohol. They were just selling admission into the building, and then they were giving you the liquor for free, almost like a house party. So that was their way they worked around it. So the city got wise to it, and they were trying to figure out different ways to shut down the bar. And so they started coming out with the fire marshal, and they would be busting these after hours clubs for fire code. And there was 3 of them on the same street. And so what they did was they would always come to ours third for some reason. And there was one called the 50s Club. There was Chrome. And then there was another one. The name was the address of the venue. And I forget what that address was. It was like right across the street from Chrome. It was a real small spot. And so the one night they're raiding the 50s Club, and we find out they're raiding the 50s Club, and usually they raided us before 3 a.m. So we'd keep it at capacity like 89 or whatever till 3 a.m. Then after 3 a.m., we just let everybody in and it'd be packed. So the one night they got wise to that. They come out late, and so it's like 3:15 and they start raiding the spots, and that's like our peak time of the night. So we know, oh shit, they're going to come down to our spot next and they're going to raid us. So the manager, JJ, comes up to me and he's like, Dave, he's like, you got to play, and it was after hours hip hop. And he's like, you got to play something that'll just get people out of here like right now. And I'm like, well, they all just paid $20 to come in. Like, they're not just going to he's like, dude, he's like, this is the only way we can get rid of them is you just have to play bad music. So I'm like, I'll do what I can. So first I drop Back That Ass Up, which this was like super like hood hip hop that I was playing there. So Back That Ass Up was considered very cheesy by the crowd that was, the regulars there. But they kind of stopped dancing, but it didn't really do anything. So this was in the very brief era between Serato and CD and vinyl for me. So I was just doing CDs. I had a Newmark CDN 88 at the time. So I was just mixing on CDs. So I just had my quote unquote hip hop book. So there wasn't a ton of like creative stuff that was going to be in this book that I was going to be able to play that the crowd really wasn't going to like. So I'm just searching, trying to figure out stuff. So I come across Will Smith's Miami. So I drop Miami and just the floor freezes and everybody looks at me. And I said to JJ, I'm like, you better get a bouncer up here right now.
You're about to get killed.
Come on.
So
$20 for this.
So they get the bouncer Tim Bryant. He was one of our bouncers, and I mean, this dude literally was like the size of James Harrison. Like my son and James Harrison's son played football together. Like I've been around James Harrison. Like this bouncer was the size of James Harrison. And for those of you who don't know who he is, he's the Steelers' all-time sack leader. So Tim comes up and he's standing around like right in front of me. And this was a tiny, small booth, and he's standing by the entrance, and I'm just ducking down. I'm waiting for people to start trying to throw drinks at me. I'm just ducking down, playing Miami. And so songs going on. I got to find another song. So I'm scrolling through my book, and I come up. I don't know how this was, still in my hip hop book, but I guess it was the early 2000s. But I find the 12-inch, like 8-minute version of Milli Vanilli's "Blame It on the Rain." So I dropped "Blame It on the Rain." I'm still ducking down, and all I can remember is this one dude that was trying to fight through Tim kept screaming at me, "Can't you see we're all black?" Like this dude is literally screaming at me. Can't you see we're all black? And it was.
That's when you say, "Hey, man, blame it on the rain." You don't like
There's
it?
not a bone in me that doesn't believe that that's exactly what he said.
So next, so that plays for a while, and my next song I'm about to drop, I'm about to go into Too Legit to Quit. And JJ comes up and he comes running up and he's like, stop, Dave. And I'm like, what? He's like, stop right now. I'm like, stop what? And I look up and there was like 60 people left in the club. So we went from like 300 to 60 in 3 songs.
Oh.
And the best part is the fire marshal pulls up and there's a single door and a single staircase and he sees all these people flooding out the door. But by law, he has to physically be standing in the club and see them in the club. He can't see them just coming out the door. So he can never get in because everyone's coming out the door. And by the time he gets in, we literally were at capacity. And then after he left, anyone that was still hanging around the street, the owner let them all back in again.
And then did you drop Milli Vanilli?
Oh yeah,
again?
I played. I think I played Bia Bia as soon as he told me I could go back to like regular music. I think I played Bia Bia. I believe is what I played.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Anybody else
Allow
got
me to sing you the song of my people?
Got a good club story before we roll out?
I know.
Come on,
what
about when you?
Come
on, didn't you get like hit with a speaker at Firehouse one?
Yeah, a speaker fell on me because some dude. So the Firehouse, the only way to get into the deck was you had to go through the main room onto these these sliding doors to get on the deck. So every Saturday, someone would try and sneak up the back stairs, which were closed off, and there was like curtains and there was like vinyl, and so some guy tried to sneak over the edge where my speaker was and push the speaker and the door onto my head, knocked me out cold, and Spencer Ray actually took me to the hospital, and I got a concussion. Yeah.
Damn.
And then they played DJ Strobe mixes for like the rest of the night.
Gee, Uncle Ray's somehow involved in all hospital stories. Brandon.
Yes.
Right. I think about like the Rebel 3 style for me. That was like a cool thing because it was like all my friends, even my roommate, and we were all DJing, and it was like, I don't know, DJing at the time was like exciting and open format, and we were traveling. I went with Nugget on a few trips that were pretty epic when Nugget did the do-over and the roller skating parties, and so
that's sick.
Yeah, totally. I forgot what I was saying.
It was that good. It was that good.
It was that good. What were we even talking about?
You're talking about the Red Bull.
Oh yeah, Rebel 3 style. It was cool because man, it was like Zimmy, fucking Dave, Nugget, McFly, who was my roommate, Super Steve, DJ Flo, who was dope, and DJ Jazzy Jeff was judging. I was like, oh fuck, like it was fucking it was a good night, and DJing in Pittsburgh definitely was. The fact that they even had that shit there, and I love how all of us, like Jim is like, a Twitch motherfucking god right now, and Nugget's got the club, and Dave's all over the place, and Strobe is, a house god and been making records since '92 or whatever, and it's just been, or even earlier than that. And so just watching everyone do their thing, and having me get to tour and with Wiz and Black and Yellow, I was thinking a gig that it wasn't even a club, but getting to DJ at like the AFC Championship that year. They ended up losing at the fucking Super Bowl, but just like being there on stage in Pittsburgh, it's just like.
Dude, Brandon, I was a fan at that game. I remember you DJing, and Wiz had like a fur coat on.
Yeah, big fur coat. Yeah, so that just like that whole experience, watching a city win Super Bowls and fucking if the Penguins winning, like the bar is gonna be good that night. You just say make some fucking noise for the team, and people are going crazy in the club, man. So just to experience all that shit, it would suck to be Cleveland, you know.
That's
Next
some
week.
misery.
Nah, just kidding. Shout out to Cleveland though.
Guys, this has been a lot of fun, man. Getting
Yeah,
to know
definitely a lot of fun.
everybody in the chat. Big ups to Pittsburgh if you've been rocking with us for these last couple hours. Big ups to the
All the
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh DJs in the chat.
Shout
And
to the
Yeah,
chat.
and-
Shout to the
and-
chat.
Pittsburgh came to play in the chat.
Shouts
the
to everybody
homies here.
shouts to everybody that learned something. I know I learned a lot tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Even knowing these guys for so long, some of them, it's really great to hear about Pittsburgh. And just as Bonics was saying, man, Selecta is one of my favorite Twitch shows. Strobe too, and you guys do different times, which is nice. And Selecta, you and Bonics got that real sexy radio voices on. You got
Well, radio was my thing before DJing out.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
why.
But it's funny because like I'll take a ride early in the morning, go grocery shopping. I got you on my headphones in the grocery store. It's all nice and peaceful, and you're playing like usually some jazz or some soul. It's really dope. And then by lunchtime, Strobe's kicking in, and we got some house. So it's been
Some
a lot
new
of fun,
wave.
man, catching you guys.
The evolution of the
Bonics
daytime sound.
has always been with us probably since day one. I think I remember the first time you started doing Twitch, like that first show or two.
Yeah, you were like on the fence for a minute.
Yeah. And then,
you came in swinging though.
So it's been great to have all you guys, and let's go around and start with Dave, and let's just give us a quick plug. Give us your parting shots.
I don't know. I mean, normally I know I have stuff going on. I mean, I always tell people check out my Mixcloud, mixcloud.com/Digital Dave, or pardon me, /DJ Digital Dave. Mixcloud. I got tons of mixes I'm working on coming up that I'm going to drop this spring. I got 2 different G-Funk mixes in the works. I got an emo pop punk early 2000s mix in the works. I got another yacht rock mix. So I just like to do kind of cool themed mixes. But this was just so much fun, really, just being here with all these guys, and just so many memories from over the years. And, you know, all the times I've played with you guys just been really, really meaningful to me. And I would not be the DJ that I am today without you guys. So much love and respect.
Nice.
Nugget.
Thanks, Dave.
Dave.
Hey, first, thank you guys for having us on here, and the utmost respect to all of you guys in DC. And I hope that whenever everything kind of settles down, we can all reconnect in person. And
Yes.
but yeah, if you know, my 2 big things going on right now are my wife and I are getting ready to reopen the Gold Mark on March 12th and 13th on Friday and Saturday nights from 8 p.m. to 11:30. It's going to be like a social distance, fun, seated party until they lift the restrictions on us, which is totally fine, but we're really excited to get back open. And the other big announcement is that we are going to be streaming every Friday and Saturday night on Twitch finally. So
nice
from the bar. So for everybody that's watching, don't even worry about following me. Follow my bar, please. It's just twitch.tv/thegoldmark. And yeah, tune in on Friday and Saturday nights for a fun party. And that's all I can say. And much love to all my brothers from Pittsburgh on here. I love all you guys and miss all you guys, and hope to see you soon.
Nugget, can you tell them why it's called Goldmark real quick? Because I think that's interesting and it's not jazzy.
Oh.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know, the Goldmark is named after Peter Carl Goldmark, who invented the vinyl record.
Oh, wow.
So, there you go.
Wow.
There's some DJ history for you. And it was funny when I named it that, because I didn't realize that. And I was trying to do a play on words with nugget, like gold nugget. And I was just Googling and finding out all kinds of weird DJ things. And I had already read all these DJ books and I couldn't think of anything with gold. And one morning I woke up and I literally typed in, who invented the vinyl record? And if you Google that right now, it'll come right up. And so it's crazy. I just got a thing the other day. The bar is 5 years old, and I got a thing the other day that was like the Instagram and the Twitter page are like 7 years old, because I've I got them like the minute that kicked
The moment
in.
you saw that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Google it. It's a cool story too. And his family has actually reached out to me as well and gave us props on it too. And they've been really cool. So if you guys get a chance, check that out.
Nice. Bonics.
Hey, in the near future, PDC is doing the Battle Gories battle next Friday, I think, right? Next Friday.
Yeah, next Friday.
Yes.
It's going to be on his Twitch channel, and I'll be DJing probably in Pittsburgh. DJ Active is going to be there. DJ
Nice.
Selecta, and there's going to be a dope battle, and it's going to be streamed. So that's cool. Other shit that I guess I didn't tell anyone. There's a show on HBO or maybe Cinemax called Warriors. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with that show. It's like some sort of Bruce Lee wrote it, and it plays on one of those things. But in the last episode, my man Chops put me on a track, and I did some cuts on it. Chops actually from the Mountain Brothers, which is really cool. And he's definitely the guy. Speaking of that too, this Sunday there's a big Stop the Hate sort of, a lot of anti-Asian violence going on right now, and so this weekend. Yeah, we got this dope stream. I'm going to post about it. You may see others like DJ Marvel and I think maybe like DJ Spinna and a whole bunch of DJ Umami. And just there's a huge list all weekend long to raise awareness for that. So look out for that on my socials. And I Twitch every day at noon, right? Yeah, noon Central Time. Just getting back into it because lastly, I want to say 2 weeks ago, I went to Costa Rica and did a plant medicine trip. And if you're interested in talking about it, reach out to me because it definitely helped me kind of get grounded and shit in this crazy time. So I appreciate y'all and all these people. We have a great story. Each one of us have a great story with each other somewhere. Whether it's me and Dave in a radio story or me and Nugget going to Brazil, it's great. There's so many DJs that that people don't even know about that have just added to the scene, and then of course the service industry there is definitely top notch as well. The minds behind bars and the hard. They always say there's a person in Pittsburgh in any successful bar anywhere because people in Pittsburgh know how to work. And I think the DJs do too, man. We were all DJing 6 days a week. Yeah. So
a good friend of most of ours, Elvis, actually is the director of operations at Live in Miami. So, and Bonics, I wouldn't say, but one of my favorite memories together was back in the day when we would do the Monday nights together, me and you at Zen, and would do like the 2x4 sets. Like I just had so much fun doing those.
2x4 is so much fun, man. I haven't done one.
Those are a good time.
Yeah, it's not easy with everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like the whole timing. Sure. Some people just, like they could be great DJs, but not understand how to.
Yeah. Well, and again, if it's someone and then you guys can vibe like that, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like a feeling of also knowing that two guys know how to mix by ear. Sure, you could throw BPMs around, like I'm around, but at the end of the day, you're still mixing by ear. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That's definitely
and we'd have Pittsburgh Pete hanging out there.
Wow.
Strobe, give us some good things about what's going on for you.
Well, first of all, again, thank you for having me. It's nice when you bring the senior DJs out for get them out for a bit. Night on the town. But yeah, I mean, all these guys, it's funny because as a solely, like, I don't do any mixed format. I don't play really mainstream stuff. I've always been an electronic and house DJ, and all these guys are huge in like the mixed format and their respective eclectic fields, and they've always given me the love. And so I need to say that is super important to me, because I know that there's a lot of love in that city for the DJs, and I appreciate that very much. You can catch me. I DJ house music every Monday and Tuesday at noon EST, Eastern Standard Time. here in Canada. So that's on Twitch and at twitch.tv/DJ Strobe. And you can find out like the music stuff I'm doing at djstrobe.com.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being with us. And Selecta, wrap us
Give
up.
me that voice. Give me that voice.
The voice. Well, first off,
Yes.
thanks for the hospitality. I appreciate everyone from the extended DC fam. Everyone here, all the DJs here have aided in my journey some way. Strobe got me on Twitch pretty much. He taught me OBS over the phone. So
That's what's
major
up.
props to Strobe for dealing with me and my.
Everyone has somebody.
And then Nugget gave me a weekly gig. I mean, monthly gig rather for quite some time. Dave often hears me vent on the telephone, so about DJ
Everybody
Quirk,
needs that guy.
DJ therapist.
he knows. And then Bonics put me on to many a gig over the years. You know, just do you want to spin with me here? I remember spinning with you somewhere. Did you spin somewhere with me and all of your vinyl fell out of the back of a truck?
Probably.
I don't know why that's coming to my head right now. Probably.
It probably happened.
Bonics had vinyl in 7 different
I
spots
doubt it.
of the city.
I was actually once indirectly the cause of Nugget falling out of a car.
Okay. I can't stop that.
Was that the Ninja Roll story?
It's a good story. It's my birthday.
So I'll try to tell it as quick as possible, and Nugget can kind of, I guess, chime in. So we were at Privilege. It's Nugget's birthday, and I think him and Zimmy were playing. It was a Friday night, and I decided 12:30 or something. There was like 500 people, 600 people there. I decided to get on the mic and be like, "It's Nugget's birthday. Everyone, buy him a shot right now."
Oh, that was the worst.
So Nugget gets like super hammered. And his doorman, Chris O'Brien, who used to drive, who was like collect money for him at the door, for him and Zimmy, like was driving him home. And Nugget they were at a stoplight, and Nugget had to puke. So Nugget opens the door just as the light turns green, and Chris starts driving, and Nugget rolls out of the car.
Oh man.
Oh man.
And then I guess wakes up the next morning, like not remembering that he rolled out of the car and wondering where he has like bruises from.
Where's my left shoe, dude?
So I think I can make some responsibility for that.
Oh my god.
Oh man. All right. Well, on that note,
We're glad you're alive.
Yes,
We're glad you're
Glad you made it, man.
Nuggets alive.
real quick, Selecta, can you tell us tell the chat the days that you're streaming on Twitch?
Yeah. I was
With your
streaming
voice.
5 days. I'm sorry.
All of them.
I was streaming 5 days a week, but I pared that down due to some family issues. So I'm going 3 days a week now, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. And Mondays, all jazz. Wednesday and Fridays are open format. So that's the deal.
Thank you. Keep playing that therapeutic music, man.
Indeed.
All right, guys. Well, it's time to end the show. As always, we're everybody tuning in the chat. Everybody tuning in on Twitch. Please stay in the chat. We're gonna pay it forward and raid another DJ's channel once our show goes off there. So stay put. But once again, give it up one more time for our special guests, DJ Bonics, DJ Nugget, Digital Dave, Selecta, and DJ Strobe. Appreciate y'all for coming
Pittsburgh
through.
represent. Thank you guys for coming by.
Yes. Again, if you missed
Thanks, guys.
Again, if you missed any of our episodes, you can watch our past shows on facebook.com/BeatRefinery or youtube.com/BeatRefinery. And if you prefer to listen to the audio side of things, this episode will be uploaded this Thursday to Apple, Spotify, wherever you consume and listen to All Things Podcast. So make sure to click like, comment, and subscribe. The next episode of the 9 at 9 will be back next month or end of the month on March 29th. But come again to the channel, to the Beat Refinery Twitch channel, and tune in with us next Monday, 9 p.m. East Coast time for another edition of our music playlist show. Next week, we're doing our top 5 90s dance. Special guest to be TBD for now. But once again, guys, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
All best
Everybody,
Fridays.
say peace.
Peace. Peace.
Peace. Strobe,
Yo, what happened-
should
what
come
happened to
back
me?
as your special guest.
What is that beat?
I made it on Serato Studio.
I was gonna say I've heard this before. You played this for me.
Yeah, I made it. I bought this